All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Konnichiwa, konbanwa, ohayou gozaimasu, fellow gamers. Welcome. I'm Ian, GamerDad1, and with me is Marv, GamerDad2. This is the Two Gamer Dads podcast, episode 5. The time where we talk with some very special guests, usually the friends we most want to talk to, and discuss everything under the sun, from video games to parenting, our favorite movies, basically anything that we find interesting and enjoyable. And we hope you enjoy this as much as we enjoy making it. Today, we have a very special guest all the way from Detroit, Michigan, in the US. We have Joel. Hi, Joel. How are you?
Yay!
Thanks for inviting me to this podcast. Glad to be here.
Dude, your response not as high enthusiasm as my intro lah.
And it's like in the morning here, man. Like for
I know
you,
that's true. That's true. That's true. Is your kid still asleep?
no, he's actually awake. The wife and the son aren't feeling too well. They're a little under the weather, so they
Oh
are
no.
watching TV and chilling in this rainy weather.
Okay, since we're on that topic, and since I kind of spot that you have a kid, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So currently residing in Michigan, about 30 minutes out from Detroit. Fellow gamer dad, obviously, and also got to know Marv and Ian through gaming in WoW. I think several years back now. And it was just nice. And, we were just playing, and then it was nice of them to include, I think, one other friend and I into the group, and we've just been keeping in touch. And so it was much easier to hang out in the past, right? I mean, when I was in Singapore, and now that we're here, gaming times are far and few in between. But married with wife and a son. The son was born in the COVID-19 time, and so that was pretty challenging, especially in the US. And then all my family's back in Singapore, so I'm really the only one here besides the in-laws that are related to my wife here. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's a
And
little
how
snapshot.
how old's your son now?
So he was literally born in COVID-19, literally December 19th. So it's almost 2.
Oh,
Oh, just at the
wow.
start of COVID-19 lah.
Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
where the US didn't think it had started here
Yeah.
yet, because we only
The first
did
6 months
things
of
like
it was like nothing, right? Nothing happened in the first 6 months. First 6 months
yeah,
of the year, right?
yeah. We're like, wow, the US is great. Like the cases aren't even high at all. And then later they found out that wow, the tests. Yeah. Anyway, let's
Yeah.
not get
So
into that.
living among you all this time.
Right, the amount of international travel to the US you would expect, but anyway, that is the
And
present, right?
and so your wife is American, I presume.
Yes, she is half Korean, half American. Her dad is white, and her mom is Korean. I would argue that her mom is also white because she's full-blooded Korean, but she was adopted since she was young, and she got raised on a farm. So
Okay.
Oh.
she's pregnant. She doesn't even like kimchi. That's how Korean she is, basically. The mom.
Wait, is that the benchmark we decide on
Yeah,
how
that's the
Korean you
standard.
are?
You must like
If you
I
don't like
it, it,
kimchi, you
it
don't
may
like
be in my
Korean.
mind. What do you guys think?
I mean,
I
I
think
like
that's a
kimchi.
pretty good standard. Like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
do any
Do I
Koreans
know
don't
a
like kimchi?
Korean don't like kimchi?
I
I
don't know,
think there
maybe.
I'm
are. It's like
I'm
asking
sure.
if a Japanese
Yeah,
doesn't like sushi.
sure. I'm sure there are, but it's few and far between, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So is your wife Korean at all?
My wife actually took the opposite turn, from the mom. When she grew up, she got really interested in, Japanese, Korean, and she can speak,
Yeah.
not super like business level, but casually like 4 to 5 languages. Because she
Yeah.
she
Oh wow.
enjoyed Korean, Japanese,
Oh.
things like that. So she really went into the Korean or slash Asian culture, and I guess lucky me, I met her, and then I ended up getting married. I guess that wouldn't have happened if she wasn't
Yeah.
even interested in Asian culture to
And
begin
she
with.
lived in Singapore for a while, right?
Yeah, yeah. So she lived in Singapore for, I would say, 2 to 3 years before we moved here. So
Okay.
she picked up Hokkien actually.
Nice.
What?
When she moved to Singapore, I'm like, why don't you go immerse yourself in the culture? And she's like, sure. So she went with my aunt to the vegetable market, and then she
Oh,
spoke with the vegetable
wow.
market lady and said, hey, can I help you sell vegetables for free? And
Wow.
the vegetable market auntie was like, "Wow, this mixed girl wants to, work on my stall for free." Sure. And so they had like a ball of time for like a month, and then she eventually kind of picked up Hokkien and
Wow.
Mandarin
For a
by
month.
literally.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. So she came back one day and goes, "Kanin."
Hey. PG podcast.
I didn't finish this.
Don't want to be flagged as
Wait, so she literally just went to the wet market. This is a wet market, right? And then this like white girl just said, "I would like to work here," like in a very Angmo accent.
Yeah, I mean, she
And the
couldn't speak.
Chinese, the
Yeah.
Chinese
Well,
auntie was like, "Okay lah,
she
come lah."
yeah. Okay lah, lai lah. Well, she took Mandarin in college, so that helped a little bit. But the wet markets are predominantly Hokkien, right, in Singapore. So yeah, she had to pick that
Okay.
up.
That's
Wow,
interesting,
that's
man.
cool.
They're very,
We
very
need
brave
we need
also.
her on the podcast. We need her on
Yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Maybe she's a little under the weather today, but we'll see. Maybe she'll pop.
We found out recently that like basically almost all our guests, our wives are much more interesting people than actually the dads themselves.
I would agree for my case, but yeah.
That's boring, but the wives are cool. So how did you met her in school?
Yeah, so let's get into this one. So I was just a Singaporean guy in an American college in South Carolina, and then I just saw this girl one day, and I was like, wow, I need to get to know her. And I was racking my brains for like a month of how to like get to know her because
A month.
because we didn't have any mutual friends, and it was my first year in
Oh.
college then, and then she was
It's
in the
kind of weird
second
to
year.
just
but
go up to somebody and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
give me a
I guess I'm
number.
not American enough to do that. I
Want to
don't
trade
know.
numbers? I want to state.
So
I state mine."
They stated yeah. But yeah, so a month, and then I finally found out that one of my Korean buddies knows her, and she was teaching Korean Sunday school on Sundays. And and my Korean friend obviously went to that same Korean church. So they're like, hey, if you want to get to know her, she studies in a library at Tuesdays and Thursdays every week with me. I'm like, okay, I'll join you then. Obviously, I couldn't study at all during that time when I first met her. But yeah, and here we are, married with a kid.
Well, that skipped a lot of steps, but the general gist is there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did you? It is first time in the library, right? Just to see her.
Yeah, the first time in the library, I was trying to be like fun and everything, but she said I was so serious.
Oh, really?
College days, yeah. I guess I was in over my head. Trying to meet
Oh
her.
wow! So you've known her for quite long, since
Yeah.
college.
I would say, yeah, we just had our 9th dating anniversary. So I've known her for like 10 years now.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
really cool.
That's cool.
But hey, anybody's story is unique, right? I'd like to hear about
Yeah.
you guys as well. How do you guys meet your wives?
Mavs is I state mine. They're very easier.
Long story short, for me, I met my wife at the workplace. So, I was working in a mental mental health nursing home, psychiatric nursing home, and no, she wasn't one of the patients. She was a therapist, an occupational therapist, and we just happened to share patients. But she's not from my company. She was from a different organization, and then there were like some get together events, to celebrate the progress of our patients, and then I happened to talk to her lah. And small world lah, I found out that she's actually the cousin of one of my classmates from school.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah lah. After that, then it just went from there. Yeah.
That's
Chu,
cool.
yours was
I
from
have,
church, right? Sorry.
yeah,
Sure.
go ahead, Shu.
No, my story is quite interesting. Because okay, but just to it's a tremendously long story, but just to cut it short,
TLDR.
yeah, TLDR. So I'm a missionary for those who don't know. So I went on when you're young, you go on shorter mission trips so that you kind of most people do that in church. So I went to China, and then when I was in China, I met an older missionary lady who was like your aunties, So she became like my godmother. And then when she came back one day for her sabbatical, like home assignment for rest, basically, she asked me, "Hey Ian, are you single?" And I was like, "Oh, that's not." That when an auntie asks you this question, you're like, "Oh, come on, no, no, no,
Like
let's not go there. Let's not go there." And I remember at that point, I had just broken up with my ex girlfriend, so I was like, I want nothing to do with anybody. So, but then little did I know that at the same time she was asking my wife the same thing. Like, hey, Marian, are you single? And then she was also like the same, I don't want to meet anybody. But long story short, she matchmade us. We didn't date. We were friends for a year before my best friend started kicking me in the butt and saying, "What are you waiting for?" Which never happens. Usually it's the other way. I date too fast instead of being friends longer. So that's the short story of it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Like a person in China, which you didn't expect, kind of
Yeah.
matchmade you. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that
If
is
I
a
didn't
story,
go, we'd have almost no mutual friends. So
right?
it would never have panned out if I didn't go. Yeah.
And that's
But
so
actually,
rare in Singapore, right? No mutual
yeah.
friends.
Yeah, I'm shocked actually. I actually know her brother more. Like her brother has more mutual friends with me, but with her, like, no. So actually, I wanted to ask you, like, how did you when you ended up in the US? Now you're in the US. Did you do go because of family, like her family, or did you go because of work?
Yeah, so going back a little to the college story and after, so when at graduation, let's fast forward to graduation now.
Mm.
I wanted to, my parents and I both wanted me to stay in the US, find a job, work here, develop my career. And then
Yeah.
my wife was like, "Hey, I'm going to China to teach English in a Christian school." I'm like, but we want to get married, right? and then and so she was adamant about it, and I said, "Fine, I'll go back to Singapore, and we'll at least be in the same time zone, so it's easier to do LDR at least then." So after she taught for a year or so, she moved to Singapore, did that market thing with the aunties, and then we finally got married in Singapore. And we wanted to stay in Singapore, so she applied for a PR. And then surprisingly, they rejected her PR, and I'm like, "What's
What?
going on? An American applying for a PR in Singapore, and she gets rejected." Like, okay. And so the second time round, we applied for my green card, which is the PR equivalent in the US, and then her PR again, the second application. And then the green card came first, and I'm like, I guess we're going to the US. Let's go then. And so,
Mhm.
we ended up here. The other reasons as well, like the work life in Singapore, the work life balance, isn't something that
Mm.
she kind of wanted or envisioned for a family because of the long hours in Singapore in general. So coming to the US, and then we decided to start our family here. So we're still here and we're happy that way. Yeah.
She taught in China. Which part of China did she go?
Qingdao, where the beer is from.
Qingdao.
Yeah,
Ah, okay. I mean, it's a big city. It's
I
not.
know. Yeah. It
Yeah.
is huge.
It's
And again, our wives are always more interesting than us, aren't they?
so during that whole time, she was living alone by herself. You're doing LDR.
She Yeah, she was with a childhood friend who graduated at the same time, and then they both taught there. And then the friend stayed on, and she left to come to Singapore.
Wow. I think I need to get your wife on. We can talk more about stuff like
Oh,
that. Because
China, right?
I
Experience.
studied in China too. Yeah, I studied in China too. It was quite cool. Okay.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, this is how we ended up here.
Oh, and okay, so I think we'll get a little bit into like how life is living in the States because I think that's something because in Singapore we receive a lot of news about what it's like in the States, but it's not news is news, right? It can be skewed in any direction depending on how the media wants you to think. And so we'll
Mhm.
get a little bit into that later. But I thought like we usually do, let's talk about some games because we are gamer dads.
Yeah,
And we just go through some of the news that I think is quite interesting, which is talking about new games. So recently when was it? Last week, right, Marv? The PS showcase?
I think so. Kind of lost track of
Yeah.
time. No, probably last
I
week.
think it
Yeah.
was a week ago. Yeah, last week. Actually, there's a lot. There was a Nintendo Direct recently also. But anyway, PS Showcase came out last week, and there were a lot of games that were revealed,
Mhm.
like that was coming out. So I'll just go through. The only ones I remember that I wrote down were God of War 2, the KOTOR, the remake, Knights of the Old Republic remake, Spider-Man 2, is Spider-Man 2, is that Venom? Is it a separate
No,
one?
it's
No,
just
no, Venom's
Spider-Man
the
2.
villain.
Yeah,
Venom's the
Venom is
villain.
in Spider-Man 2.
Venom's in
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2. Wolverine, the big review, and the Alan Wake remaster. Yeah. Have any of you? Okay, what game are you most excited about the PS Showcase?
Wow. I guess I'll go
Oh,
first.
yeah, you go first.
I think for me would be a tie between the new Spider-Man game
Yeah.
and probably KOTOR remake.
Oh.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. You want me to talk more about it? I guess I can expound on why I feel that way. Okay. So obviously I've played the original Spider-Man and the Miles Morales one,
Miles
right?
Morales.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've actually completed both of them on the hardest difficulty. Yeah. Mainly because I wanted to get the trophy lah. You know, the achievement.
The plat.
Yeah, the PS trophy thing. Yeah.
Mm.
So one of the requirements is to complete the
On the
entire
hardest
campaign
difficulty.
on the hardest difficulty. Yeah.
Mm.
It's definitely a challenge. I think I
Mm.
actually found it more enjoyable to do it on the hardest difficulty because you
Oh.
actually have to plan. You know, like when you play
Yeah.
as Spider-Man, then there's some parts where you enter the base and then you're in stealth mode. So you actually have to plan and try to take out everything in stealth as much as possible. Yeah, because if you get into a fight straight away, you probably get owned lah. Yeah.
Mm.
Um. Then for KOTOR, I mean, kind of, kind of like don't really need to explain because KOTOR is like one of the games, from Star Wars that you know made
Yeah.
an impact for our generation lah, right? I mean for fans of Star Wars.
Mm.
KOTOR being Knights of the Old Republic, obviously.
Mm.
But I would say that I'm casually optimistic about it because people who have played KOTOR, or people who enjoy KOTOR
Mm.
in that era, it's like a classic, right?
Mm.
Like it's like maybe
Mm.
FF7 or Resident Evil 2, that level of prestige. So
Mm.
how are they going to remake it? So I'm hoping that it would be the level of FF7 remake. Like they would give it the
Oh.
polish of FF7 remake, and I I personally think that
No.
they shouldn't do turn-based anymore.
Oh. Like make it action.
I think they should
Action-based.
make it action RPG just like FF7 remake.
I mean, FF7 has like a bit of turn-based as well. So
Yeah.
like just a bit of that DNA.
As in that battle system in FF7 remake, if they used it for KOTOR, I think it'll be very, very good. Yeah, cause can you imagine like that level of graphics and that level of combat in the
With
Star
like
Wars
lightsabers.
universe? I was like, oh, I'll buy the game. I'll pre-order the game.
No, don't pre-order.
Yeah. So those are my
Uh,
two top that I'm looking forward to lah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Joel, do you have a PlayStation?
So that's a sore spot because I tried since the beginning, and the scalpers in the US, all over the world actually, hike the price, right? They sell it for what, 700 US instead of 400, 499, 399. And so I haven't come to terms with that yet, and I don't want to pay a scalper to buy a PS.
$399 US. That's so cheap though.
That's digital, yeah.
Yeah, that's way cheaper than Singapore though. How much you buy yours, Mark? 800?
I bought mine as a set, so it was one controller, one game, and then the digital version. That means no disc, right? For I think 700 plus, 750 or 800.
Okay,
That's-
Sing.
that's
yeah,
Yeah, that's not too
Okay.
bad, right?
yeah, about the same because it's 1.3, right? So
Yeah.
more or less there with extra stuff.
But I mean, I was lucky lah. So my story, of course, is that I managed to secure like two units, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
He scalped it to Chris. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I didn't. So for people who don't know the story, I actually managed to secure 2 units of PS4, purely by luck. So I actually I managed to get into the queue for the one of the departmental stores here, Harvey Norman. And when after I paid, they sent me an email to say that, oh, sorry, we are not able to give you your unit on the first wave, because we previously they accepted more orders than they had stock. Then they were like, if you don't want your unit, you can just let us know and then we'll refund you the money. So Chris, the guy who came on for our first episode, he said, yeah, don't cancel lah. You just give me the second wave. So I was like, oh, okay lah. So the whole like PS5 launch period was during the time where I was on paternity leave. So Meredith was just born. Then
Yeah, I know.
yeah, then one
Ask
of
for
the
permission
stores
to go
nearby,
queue.
one of the stores nearby my place, they were like, okay, we have stock, but we are only taking orders in person. So you have to come down and reserve a unit. So I was like, I asked my wife, can I have like 2 hours off? I go queue up. And
Abandoned.
she's like, yeah, sure. So I woke up. I reached earlier, like before the store opened. I reached like 1.5 hours earlier, and there was already a queue. There was like, I can't remember, like 14 people in front of me. Then I was like, oh damn. So I just queued up lah for another like hour plus. Then the guy came out of the store when the store was about to open. Then he was like, okay, we have a limited number of sets, maybe about 10 only. Then I was like, shit. But I was like, okay, never mind, I'll just wait. Then fortunately, they announced that they only have the non-digital versions. That means the disc
This
versions,
version.
which are $150 more expensive.
Yeah.
Around there, right? $150.
Yeah.
And then miraculously, right, people in front of me, right, like 4 or 5 people left the queue. So I managed to secure a unit. And then on the PS5 launch day, the store that told me that I didn't have a place, they actually said that, oh, we have stock. Yeah, so that's how I got 2 units, and then I passed one to
Joel is
Chris.
just burning inside right now, right? It's just like what the hell?
But okay, I have to say that I passed it to Chris at cost price. I didn't scalp him. Whereas my cousin Ian, do you know Joe? He sold
he
his
sold his PS5.
for like 1,000 sing.
Yeah.
Oh, to none of us, right?
None of
someone
us,
else.
none of us. To
No.
people online.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess that's
Became the
fine.
villain.
You can go scold him. You can tell him
He
he's one of
became
the
the
people
villain.
contributing to the problem.
What
Oh,
so Joel, did you have a PS4?
yeah, I mean, I was a PlayStation, kid to start, like PlayStation 1, 2, 3, since the
Oh,
very
okay, okay.
and then I stopped at PS3, and then PS4 was when I really got into like WoW and PC gaming, so I skipped the PS4, I guess. And now with the 5, I wanted to get it. I see Ian
Okay.
in pain there.
Wait, you skipped 4? So you never played you didn't play Spider-Man?
Yeah, so Spider-Man and well, Spider-Man is something that I already own, but I don't have a PlayStation digitally. And because I wanted to get one, I didn't get one. So Spider-Man and then what else? God of War is something I loved as well, but I obviously don't have the PS5 and I haven't tried that. I played the previous ones, on the PlayStation 2 and 3.
Yeah, the
And then
original.
Final Fantasy, big fan of that as well, but don't have the opportunity to play. So it's super soft spot for me.
Oh, so how hard is it now to get a PS5 in the US?
Well, at this point, I kind of gave up and said, and I told my wife, "Hey, I'll just use that $500 and put it into PC upgrades."
Oh, dude, you should. I mean, yeah.
Is that hard to get?
Oh man,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
not
it's
easy.
it's still pretty hard to get in Singapore. I have friends like on Facebook
Yeah.
who are still complaining that they can't get
Yeah,
a unit here in Singapore.
yeah. I was actually really surprised that my wife was in on this one as well. When I was trying to get it during the multiple launches and restocks at the start, she was like, "Hey, it's time. Let's get on Walmart.com and let's camp a few sites." And she was doing it on her phone as well. I was like, "Whoa, you trying to get a PlayStation for me? What's going on?" And then
She thought it's a humidifier.
No, it's a flash speed.
what was that?
A flash.
Flash.
Oh, yeah.
Thing, right? What was that funny thing? Yeah,
The router. Yeah.
Wi-Fi. Yeah, Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she was in on it as well. But every time we logged onto any page, when it was released, like on the dot, it would freeze for 5 minutes because
Yeah.
scalpers would overload the site, and so yeah, that's what happened. And
Damn
don't have
these
Spider-Man
scalpers.
2 in my PS account, but don't have.
Dude, okay, can I just say that I think you shouldn't give up because you have so many games to play. Like you're not just playing PS5 games, which to be fair, the catalog isn't big at all. You have
Right.
all the PlayStation 4 games to play. You have Ghost of Tsushima. You have God of War. You have Spider-Man. You have two Spider-Mans to play. Not even Spider-Man 2. You have Miles Morales as well. And so many. You know, I just sold my PS4 because I'm going to Japan, right? So I'm just giving away or selling everything. And I was like, wow, I put a lot of hours into that dang machine. Yeah, but oh, dude. Okay, so but are you looking forward to anything in that list?
In
If you
that
have one?
list, Wolverine was actually pretty interesting to
Yeah.
me
Ooh.
because
Yeah.
Wolverine has been, we grew up with it, right, practically, and the
Mm.
whole story and everything has been. We've watched it how many times now, and how many X-Men movies? It's
Yeah.
always a shorter version, a longer version, a focused version throughout childhood. And yeah, I'm just really curious to see how they would, pan the
Yeah.
game out like Spider-Man did. I have
Yeah.
good feelings about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the studio that makes Spider-Man, who are they? Is it Obsidian? No, it's Obsidian, right? Is it Obsidian?
No shit, I can't remember. Hold on, let me check.
Uh, but I have faith in them. They made Spider-Man really good. Like I didn't. They
Insomniac.
really captured.
Insomniac Games.
Oh, Insomniac, yeah.
Yep.
So they really captured Spider-Man, and I think Wolverine. I don't think Wolverine would be like a clone of Spider-Man with a Wolverine fate cover, because that's not Wolverine. Wolverine is like just a ball of death, right? Like I wonder
Yes.
how they're gonna do that whole like health mechanic thing in that game, right? Because he can't die, right? Because he regenerates, right? I'm just wondering how they gonna do with that mechanic. Like, are they gonna like make a soldier that shoots a particular bullet that stops your regeneration or something? Which I find will be quite annoying.
Is
I don't
that,
know.
or I guess imprisonment, capture him down, like the
Yeah,
GTA wanted thing. I don't know how it's gonna work, but
yeah,
how do you stop Wolverine, right?
yeah. And my gosh, you have to play if you like the original God of War games. Okay, I think I'm the only person in our chat group. For those who don't know, like we have a gamer chat group that we're all part of. Am I the only person that has finished God of War that actually enjoys it? Marv, you think so?
I think
I don't think
I think
anybody
Ian
has.
played it, right? But
No,
maybe he
he
didn't
did not
finish it.
finish it. He probably stopped at the tutorial.
Lam said he played the earlier one, right?
I
Was
mean,
it Lam?
the trilogy is different. The trilogy is the original Kratos in Greece, right?
You're talking about the fourth one lah, the one with boy lah.
I'm talking about the one in
Yeah.
not the
I
PS4.
think I might be the only
Normal.
other one who has played it, but
But you didn't
not
finish it
not
either.
finished it. I played like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. But I guess our group is weird. Like we have people who haven't never. Joe, you've never played Skyrim, right? Have you played Skyrim?
I did, like way back when, the very
Oh,
I
beginning.
didn't play Skyrim.
Yeah,
I
people who
tried
never
I
played
tried to play lah,
Skyrim,
but I couldn't
never
make it
played
past.
Fallout.
Yep, never played Fallout.
Like, okay, but I guess maybe it's just me. Yeah, I assume. Um, Mark, do you want to skip the next part? Or do you want to talk about it? The crypto transactions. Because I have no idea.
Yeah, why not?
I have
Why not?
nothing to
I
add.
say I did it
Uh,
because
let's talk
Joe
about it. Yeah.
used to talk about crypto with me. Yeah. So
You
I
can,
think
you guys can teach me. Teach me then.
yesterday, was it yesterday, Joe? Or the day
It
before?
was 12 hours, well,
Like
24 hours. Yeah,
just yesterday,
yesterday.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, Joe, do you know that China has banned crypto in the past before?
No. I also it's just like how they ban kids from playing games
Yeah.
in the past.
So in the past, I mean they have always had like restrictions on crypto and all that, and the one before this one was they banned mining crypto, like mining in China. But
What?
they cite like
Really?
environmental concerns and all that kind of stuff lah. But
Isn't
yesterday,
the whole mining industry in China?
yeah, exactly right. So
Kind of, yeah.
there are a lot of people who have moved out. There are a lot of people who have moved out. But yesterday they announced that they are banning all crypto transactions. Like any crypto transaction is now illegal. So they're saying that you can't use crypto at all. Yeah. So previously it was just mining. You could still use it. Yeah. So I don't know, man. There's gonna be huge like ripples and repercussions all over the world. I assume. Yeah, maybe Joel can tell us more. Like he's more in
Yeah, I
tune
mean,
with this kind of stuff.
no, it's just my personal opinion, right? Cryptos have been on the rise for a while, and then NFTs and all that stuff. And going back a little to what Marv said about banning the mining in China, it was really painful videos to watch for me when they ran like a bulldozer over all the graphics cards.
Are you serious? Yeah.
They literally did that to kill the mining essentially. And all of us here the shortage of demand in GPUs
Yeah.
and
All the
AI.
3080s and
Oh,
3090s.
the
Oh my god.
3080s.
And so that was a sight. Anyway, I'm like, darn you! Why don't you just repurpose and sell it or something? But usually GPUs that have been used for mining are done,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
They're overclocked and
Yeah,
everything.
they've been smashed basically to the
But
wall.
still, right? The supply and demand. The
Yeah.
supply is there, and they're crushing it. So, anyway, regulations I think are part of anything. Financial regulations are bound to heighten over some time once there's gone enough cloud, right? Like cryptos are all about network to me, the network effect. If people don't believe in it, it's not gonna go up. People don't use it, it's not gonna go up. It's not backed by anything but people's
Yeah.
interest.
Mm.
So, well, I don't know how much of currency is backed by gold nowadays anyway, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, so about
Yeah.
cryptos, I won't be surprised if China actually like clamps down on this and comes
Mm.
up with their own kind of crypto that can be
Yeah.
used
Yeah,
I mean,
state
within.
issued
yeah,
currency,
that,
right?
that has to be their reason for shutting it down, right? Because
Yeah,
they
it's
want
one
to
of the
keep
big
their
reasons that
own.
it's not regulated by, as in the government can't regulate, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah,
they don't want. I mean, talking about Chinese government here, lah. Please don't confine me. They kick my door down. They don't want like money flowing out of the country that they don't know is flowing out of the country, or like they can't control.
Mm.
right,
Correct. I mean, China being China, lah. I mean, they're controlling how many hours you can play games. So obviously, this is a much more touchy subject, lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
right. Talking about millions and billions of dollars,
Yeah.
going in and out. So yeah, and then I just think all these regulations come out. China took a big step. Some other countries might or might not take a big step, but some more regulations will come up sooner than later. And I think that with any other uh, thing related to cryptos and things, when regulations come up, I wonder if once regulators like settle down and like,
Yeah.
okay, we're okay with these regulations, I wonder if crypto will boom again because like, hey, it's really accepted now, and
It's a
people
legit industry now.
right. The
Mm.
governments legitimately accept it now.
Why,
So
why, why, why do you think like that it's not regulated? Is it not
it's
big enough?
not, yeah, it's not based on any bank. So that's just what the
Right.
concept of crypto. It's
But
not
there's
based on
but
any
there's
bank.
actual money being put into it. There is money flowing through the system, right?
Well, you
You
trade
can earn
money.
money. Yeah.
You can, but you trade money for crypto, right? It's like buying a stock.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
give them money, they give you a stock. So you give them money, they give you a token or a
Yeah.
fraction of a token.
Yeah.
So when the value goes up, someone's losing money out there and someone's
Yeah.
gaining money out there. And
Yeah.
so it's almost like a zero something, right?
Maybe okay. Okay, that's true. And I guess in a sense that to the government, there's no public loss yet. Everything is a
I,
private loss, right?
I guess. Well, yeah, I guess. Other than some institutions or some private companies, I guess, taking a position in cryptocurrency.
Uh,
The
okay.
the value going up and things like that is kind of like, well, it's not as tied to numbers, right? Like the stock market, right? Like
Mm,
company performance and things like that. But the stock market
mm,
still is perception, right? When people are
mm,
dumping, they're panic
mm.
dumping, things like that. And so crypto kind of does the same thing. When regulators step up, people dump, and then when people see other people dump, then they dump too. Then it drops,
Yeah.
things like
Yep.
that. So yeah, it's kind of similar in that sense. Not the mechanics of it, but the perspective of it and why it goes up and down.
Mm. Okay.
But yeah,
Okay. Cool.
enough
Thanks for
about thinking
the yeah.
cryptos.
Yeah. Everybody's like, okay. I don't know what cryptocurrency. If I explain cryptocurrency to my wife, she'll fall asleep. Yeah.
I
But
know.
anyway,
Same here.
Let's go to something that I always like to talk to my guests about, which is like, what are you doing? What do you enjoy watching, playing, listening to right now? Or what have you been doing the past like week or month or year in terms of like what has really been in your year, in your mind? Um,
Yeah.
so maybe Joy, you can start first because me and Mark have shared before, but maybe you can share.
Yeah, sure. I mean, work has been pretty busy. So the gaming hours have definitely dropped over the past year or two. And so right now, some of you may know that a few of us in the group are playing Ark. And that's and then my wife always puts this in a really bad way. Oh, you're gonna play dinos with your friends again? I mean,
Dude,
As
it's
though
like,
you're like 5 years old,
like a
right?
kid. It's like a
yeah.
kid.
I gotta play your dinosaurs.
But you know that we feel like there's more to it. I mean, the guys that are playing, and Ian, I know
Yeah.
you're interested as well.
Yeah.
It's and you know, one of the guys that are playing, I mean, he has been on this podcast, right, John, and he mentioned why he feels like Ark is the game for him now and not WoW. I mean, he went into a really high level, right, CE, right, in WoW.
Mm.
Um, did the cleared the highest level content, and that's not easy to get to from anyone, from any gamer, really. Um, but he mentioned that you're always chasing the carrot. You're always the donkey in WoW. Every new release, there's more grind. There's there's more standards basically, and it's not casual friendly. I'm sure you guys would agree, right? WoW is just it's a lot of hours. Well, Marv, I heard on the podcast you mentioned that it's not that difficult, right, to grind and
It's
get the
not
slots
difficult
from the
now, but yeah, lah. I mean, if you
right.
want to do the highest level content,
You
you
have
still
to,
have
right?
to put in the hours for sure, lah. Yeah.
Right, right. Especially at the beginning of the season and not at the end of the expansion.
Yep.
Um, and so, but in Arc, you actually own what you create, and so it's very different because you have a
Yeah.
sense of ownership, and you can build onto it. You can expand it, and there's so many aspects to the game. One of the other guys that I'm playing, he really got into the game more than John
Yeah,
and I
man.
expected.
Wow, the heck. Yeah, that's so cool though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's so many aspects. I mean, I don't want to go on a rant about Arc, but there are about 6 major aspects about Arc that that you can really delve into to if you want to play it. So, and it's a private server that we host by ourselves. So we kind of tweak the settings, like
Yeah.
harvest 3x faster, tame dinosaurs, 40x faster, because we don't us gamer dads don't have the time to sit down
Yeah.
and tame a dino for like
Yeah.
2 hours. So that's Arc. The only other game that I really have been playing regularly is MTGA. So
Oh,
I know
you
some
still
of you
play
have
MTG?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
played that Magic the Gathering Arena.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the other MT Magic, the other Magic game, the interfaces doesn't cut it for me. It's not as pretty. I guess it's not as nice, but MTGA is just a pastime. Like, hey, I have 10 minutes here. Let's just get a match going
Play a
and
game.
see what happens.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going on for me. A new roguelike game that my friend just introduced to me. So he we were talking about Hades.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you are
Yeah.
familiar with Hades, and Marv, and I know you played a ton of Hades in the hospital, right? That time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not when you were in the hospital, when you was yeah. But anyway, Heroes of Hammerwatch. So this is like a very pixelated,
Oh,
not as
yeah.
pretty as Hades, but it's a PC game, and it's really deep as well. I would argue slightly deeper than Hades as well for all the aspects that it has. And so
Mm.
that's what I've been trying out with one of my work friends. He introduced it to me, and then I got into it. And I'm
Mm.
like, wow, comparing this to Hades, I need a lot more hours in this to grind it out to the end if I can stomach the graphics because it's very pixelated.
Yeah.
But and then I asked my friend, how do you? He's an IT guy, and I'm like, how do you put up with these kind of graphics? I mean, and then he's like, well, it's kind of endearing because it's old school pixelated kind of thing. I'm like, okay, if that's how you view it, sure,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I saw that Marv posted in the chat as well. In the Pokemon game that you've
Oh,
been
Pokemon
trying, Marv.
Unite
Yep.
Yeah, is that on your phone, Marv, or is it on the Switch?
I have
on the
it
phone.
both on my phone and the Switch.
Okay.
Depends on where you want to play it, lah. If you want it on the screen, then obviously you need to play on the Switch. But the convenience
Is
is
it?
that you can it's
Mm.
seamless. You can
Oh,
literally
okay.
like turn off you don't need to turn off the Switch. You can turn on your phone, and then it will sign you out from your Switch, and you just continue where you left off. Yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna ask. So I guess you answered it already. That it's connected with the Nintendo account.
Yes, correct.
That's great. Yeah, that's great for
Yeah.
the gaming generation of today,
So
right?
that's the game that I would want to talk about lah.
Yeah.
For
go
me.
ahead.
Yeah. So I think it came out on, I can't remember,
3 days
Wednesday,
ago.
something like that. 3 days ago.
2 months.
No, as in on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, but it came out on the Switch like maybe 2-3 months ago lah, around there.
Right.
Yeah. So I was on staycation, and then my friends were like, "Hey, it's out," so I went to try it. Yeah. I would say I'm pleasantly surprised by, number one, the graphics for a handphone game. But of course, it's a Switch game ported to handphone, right? And number two, the gameplay, and number three, the systems, the spending systems. So most of these games, because okay, it's by Tencent. Yeah, I think most people know Tencent, right? The Chinese giant in mobile gaming, and most of their games are very predatory, right? The spending is very gacha. They force you to spend money to buy loot boxes, and then you have a chance to get what you want. But Pokemon Unite, it's totally not like that. So I was like, oh, not bad. You can actually choose exactly what you want in terms of the Pokemon that you want to buy, and you don't even have to spend money. You can grind out the currency
The coin.
to buy. So you can either, there are like three different currencies, I think, or four, and it's not limited to one type of currency. So like, for example, I bought Gengar, and Gengar is like, you either buy it with coins or you buy it with tickets, and you can earn both by doing dailies and just playing the game as per normal lah. The only gacha is actually, it's kind of like reverse gacha, because you play the game, they give you energy to roll the roulette, like to get the random stuff, and the random stuff is only cosmetic. So there is no like, actual gameplay impact. Yeah, and it's like Dota is like LOL lah. So everybody starts on a level playing field, level 1. You can't like, pay money to say I start at level 5. Yeah, and it's almost pure skill lah, I would say. Yeah, of course some are better than others lah, and
Unless you
but
play Lucario.
yeah,
Then those.
yeah, S tier. So there are different tiers of Pokemon, but it's like, it's almost like they update it quite regularly. They buff and they nerf quite often to try to keep the game balanced. So I was actually quite impressed with the balancing also lah. Like they respond pretty fast to if something is like totally OP or something is broken. Yeah. So I've been having fun with that. And you can either play 10-minute matches or 5-minute matches. So it's really, really bite size. Yeah. You can, like, play a match before you go to sleep, that kind of thing. Sorry?
You can play 5-minute matches?
Yeah, at level 5, you unlock the quick match.
Yeah, okay.
And those are only 5 minutes long. Yeah. So I would say that it's like turbo in Dota lah. You gain XP faster. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Turbo in Dota is still 25 minutes.
Yeah. But so turbo here is like half of a 10-minute match. Yeah.
I mean,
and
there are kids playing it, so they have attention span is shorter.
yeah, true.
5
lah.
minutes.
Yeah.
I guess it helps parents too, right? They
Yeah.
play 2 games, 10 minutes, kind of thing.
Yeah. True.
But
true.
yeah, I tried it on the Switch. I haven't downloaded it on the phone because I kind of got bored of the game because once you've played it for a while, then the variety isn't there. And you play Dota or LOL, you have like hundreds of heroes to choose from.
Yeah.
And we know there are hundreds of Pokemons to choose
Which
from.
they
but
will
it's just not-
eventually release lah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
How many Pokemon is there now?
Now, I'm not sure. Like
that's-
10 plus?
Because when I tried to buy, so that's all you have.
Yeah, it's
Because
very few.
Okay, so you buy license, right? They call it license.
Correct. Yeah, license. Yeah. To
A license just
use
with the
them.
ability to use the Pokemon.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's different from Dota because, different from Dota, but similar to LOL.
Similar to
because
LOL,
Dota you have all the heroes, whether it's
Correct.
free, so all the
Correct.
heroes you can play. But LOL, you do need to unlock them. Either you pay or you can
Or you grind the
it out.
currency. Yeah, correct.
But the
Same
grinding for
concept.
LOL is ridiculous. lah.
Yeah. This one is, I would say the grinding is quite easy. Yeah. Like you level 5, you can buy one already. And then as you level up, they give you more licenses also.
But I mean, it's
Yeah.
okay because there's only like 12
Yeah.
if you want to unlock.
I'm sure they will
Right.
release more, like, because it's a new game, right? They just
Yeah.
released Blastoise, but like this patch when the mobile game launched, they released Blastoise, and
Yeah.
for a mobile game, I would say it's quite impressive in terms of the depth of the Pokemon lah, the heroes lah. Like all of them have different. They're like 5 different roles, right? The support, defense, attack, speedster, and all rounder.
Fighter, all around
Yeah.
fighter. Yeah.
Yeah, and all of them have very different movesets. Like they're very unique.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, lor.
Yeah, I tried
Yeah.
so I played up to like I think I've played like 4 or 5 matches. So I'm at level 5 now. I like the fact that you don't need to buy items. So like in Mobile Legends, you know when you have you guys played Mobile Legends?
Yeah.
So in Mobile Legends, they will like ask you to buy different items. Then usually I have no idea what I'm buying, so I just follow the recommended path, right? You just click this to buy the item. Right, unlike Dota, where like the item you buy in Dota really makes a difference. Like it totally changes the way you play
Your
the
build.
game.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're built. But then because it's a mobile game, right? There's only so much nuance you can put in your fingers, right?
Correct.
With Dota, you have like your whole keyboard to like react to. But then with this, I like how simple it is in a sense that you don't need to think about all these things. You just play with your 3 skills and your movements.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the good thing about it. So but I said I don't know how long you can play it for.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
think it's a sit there for like 3 hours playing kind of a game. It's a you go in and you play a couple of matches and you get out, that kind of game.
It might be a
Yeah.
game to like play when the patch comes out, like 5 matches, and then like maybe collect that Pokemon that you want, and then like after you're bored, you stop playing. Then you
Yeah.
wait for the next content drop, and then you play
It's very
again, kind of
similar
thing.
to when I was playing Brawl Stars. So a lot of these mobile games now, they have like a battle pass, right? That will last like maybe a season, like 30 days. Then depending on how much you play, you can like you collect like more items, more cosmetics and stuff. Yeah, lor. So you don't really have to like sit down and like play like 5 hours a day, that kind of thing. Yeah. Even like maybe half an hour to 1 hour a day is more than enough to get you what you want lah. And the thing I like about this kind of games is that yes, even though it's a mobile game, blasphemy, right? It's still entertaining enough that you can do it while like watching TV or something like that, or on the bus, on the way home, on the way to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
being the gamers that we are, I found a way that you could actually spend money to min max if you want in Pokemon. But I just watched a video on it. I obviously didn't do it. I don't care enough.
I think there were some people who were doing it when it came out on Switch, and then they used money to min max everything. Then they went into the games to like smash all the kids.
That's so
Yeah.
because there's an aspect of items.
Yeah,
like
you can
improve
level
your-
the items. Yep.
and they buy the currency to level up the items to
Yeah.
the max.
Oh.
And so instead of killing someone in 5 hits, you kill them in 4 hits. It's very minimal. And it costs a lot. So obviously the
Yeah.
pool isn't there. But
That's the other thing that I like. Even if you pay to win, the effect is not very big. But you all play Brawl Stars, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so like a level 10, let's say level 10 code versus a level 1 code is you just get destroyed in like a few seconds, right? But whereas if you in Pokemon Unite, a level 10 item versus a level 1 item with the same Pokemon,
Almost
it's
no difference.
it's maybe like a bit faster or a bit stronger, that's all.
Yet.
Yeah, I mean for now lah, because the game is new lah, right?
Yeah. I'm just trying to see, because at the end of the day, Tencent is about making money, right? So
Yep.
Right.
their goal is, how do I get the money out of the whales? That's their goal. And right now, it seems like in this current iteration, there isn't a very big way to get the whales yet.
Yeah, just the
sure-
cosmetics lah.
Yeah, but I'm sure it'll come. Just like, Genshin Impact, right? It's a big, like,
Yeah, it's huge.
now, right?
Yeah, MiHoYo,
Like,
right?
when it first came out, everybody was, I mean, it's a good, okay, to be honest, I think Genshin Impact is one of the most fair, because they give you like a ton of content at the start. Like, you could play like 12 hours of it, and the story's not great, but you could enjoy it. Then after that, the gacha aspect comes and hits you in the face with it, right? And
Yeah,
then that's
all
where
the
you put
banners.
that's where you throw the money at it. But
Trying to
they-
get your
at the end of the
waifu,
day,
right?
yeah, they need to get you. Yeah, but okay. For me, I've been playing Tales of Arise, so I don't know if any of you have played. I know Marv hasn't, But have you ever played the Tales series before?
No, I haven't, but I saw it on the Steam, like new launch, and then I was like, "Whoa, I might want to try that." And then I
Yeah,
look at
okay.
my meeting calendars, and like, nope, don't have the time.
Okay, so I will say, I guess the biggest compliment I can give the game is that Ian Kwan has actually played almost 30 hours of this game already.
that's that's a
Like,
big
so
testimony.
that's a big thing, right? He's played 30 hours. Okay, so I've played the Tales series. The Tales series is a very long running series, right? It's similar to like the Final
Like,
Fantasy. Like each Tales is a different story.
Mm.
Like it doesn't exist in the same universe, but then the mechanics are generally the same. It's an action combat kind of style. Like it's like the open world map, then you go and then you hit the monster, and then okay, you enter into a combat arena, and then you fight. So
mm,
there are very common things between each series, but then the good thing about Tales of Arise is that it uses UE4 or UE3, the Unreal Engine, while the previous Tales have always used like their own engine. So this looks much better. It looks a lot cooler and more modern. And yeah, so I think I'm almost at the end of the campaign. I'm 30 hours in already. Yeah. So I think if you want to try a good JRPG this year, this is definitely in the running. The story is not great, but it's enough to keep you going. But like all Tale series, I think the Tale series excel not because of the story, but the characters that they do. Because okay, what Tales does is that they always like when you move to the open world, they'll actually prompt you to like press right bumper, and they'll have like skits between the characters. Like they'll just banter. And
mm,
usually it'll be like anime format. Like the manga will come up,
mm,
the storybook will come up, and then they'll talk through. And that's the cool part about Tales. Like you get that whole um relationship and character building you get. So the story is okay, but it's the characters that you get from that. So Tales of Arise, like that's what the Japanese people call it. And one thing I just found out recently is that Star Wars Visions is out. Do you know this, Marv?
Yep. Yep. But I haven't had the time to watch it.
I
Is it the
just
first
found out like
episode
this 5 minutes before.
or
No, all
all of
nine are
them?
out.
Oh shit. Okay. I guess I'm not gonna go to sleep early tonight.
Oh, we should explain to Joe and whoever's listening what Star Wars Vision is.
Joe, you know, right? Have you heard of it?
say it again. I know, probably not.
Do you have Disney
What was
Plus?
it?
I'm sure you have Disney Plus, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Basically the Star Wars, basically Disney, they got different Japanese animators, like anime animators, to do their
6.
own short stories in the Star Wars universe, but they're not canon. Yeah, they're not canon. They're purely artistic shots. So
Mm.
all of them have their own like brand, their own way of animating, their own style of drawing, and it's pretty interesting to see because it's something that I would say it's never been done, right? It's never been done before.
Not in the Star Wars
Yeah,
universe.
not in Star Wars universe because like normally um this okay ever since Disney bought over Star Wars, they've been very protective about the Star Wars, the whole mythos and the whole
Right.
like what do you call it, the property. They basically cancelled the entire extended universe that was all the comics and all the books, all the games that came before they bought over
Mm.
Lucasfilms, right? Which
Mm.
it's still a very sore point for many of the older Star Wars fans.
Mm.
Yeah. So you haven't seen the trailer, is it, Joe? Have you
No,
seen?
I haven't had much time with the TV,
Okay,
and
okay.
so that's
I
why
think we linked it.
that
We linked it
explains.
sometime back
Don't
when it was first
don't even need to
announced.
watch the trailer. Just go
Yeah,
watch
but
it.
just go watch
Don't
it.
even watch
It's I would say from the trailer itself, I was like, wow, this is a treat if you're a Star Wars fan. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, it's probably still a treat, lah.
Yeah. It's
Especially if you
really
like anime.
short. It's
Yeah.
really short. The first episode is 14 minutes.
Mhm.
Oh,
Includes
that's short.
Yeah, it's very
the
bite-sized, lah.
intro and the credit. So that's like 12 minutes maybe
Mm.
of a shot. And it's very well I mean, it's very well animated because it's done by 6 of the best animated studios in Japan.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I think it's just something to I think they
Oh, yeah.
recommended actually watching it not binge it, but to watch it
Oh,
like a day.
One by one,
Like just to get
just to like
yeah.
digest it,
That's
right?
what no, because after a while, if you watch all 9 at one go, right, it feels very samey.
All the
Like
animation just blends together, right?
no, because everyone has an epic battle, right? That's because they're all
Yeah,
animating.
yeah,
They
correct.
all think that this is their own, like they're doing
Oh,
something really cool and unique. But then when everybody's animating an epic battle, then all the skits seem the same because they're all an epic battle, right? Uh, yeah. So I'll try that anyway. I'm probably not gonna watch it all in one go.
Yeah, maybe I'll just watch one or two
I'll check
tonight.
it out today. Maybe my son would enjoy it. I don't know.
How old is your son?
Yes. Yeah.
Two. He's two, right?
Cool.
Guys, too.
2019.
Almost.
Yeah, means he's turning two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I will
Uh,
definitely check it out later. Definitely something to do this weekend, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe the last question about entertainment before we talk about the US is so this is a podcast, obviously, but actually I'm quite interested to hear what podcast people listen to because podcast in general I think in Singapore at least is not a very popular medium. I think Joe and we talked about it a little bit because in the US people drive a lot, so in the cars you either listen to radio or your own playlist or podcasts. I guess
Yeah.
is there anything else to listen to?
Generally,
Right.
podcast, really. Yeah, the US.
Yeah. So Singapore, we don't have that because I mean, people don't really drive. Although technically you could do it on the train, right? But then
Mhm.
people generally watch their K dramas on Netflix on the train. So I wanted to ask, what are your maybe not say your favorite podcast, but what do you normally listen to on the in podcast wise?
So, podcast wise, there was this a while ago before COVID, so definitely a while ago, where I used to drive to and back from work.
Mm.
I listened to this podcast by this guy about Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And so
I know. Is it the guy from? He's an accent, right?
there's an accent ish, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh
That's a pretty good one. I would say
finish
he
it.
goes I I couldn't, man.
I didn't finish it. Although.
Not because I didn't want to. Well, I guess I didn't want to, but
So
but
many
I
episodes.
stopped when COVID happened and we started working from home. So that's when I stopped.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to listen to the story in detail because all we get from the Three Kingdoms is what Dynasty Warriors, and that's all you get from the Three
On
Kingdoms.
CP, you get Redcliffe.
Redcliffe, that's right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and that's really and there's a lot more back to the story. To the
That's
story.
only 1/100th of the story. You get like the first slice.
Right. Exactly. So I enjoyed that quite a bit, and then um I don't know if you guys follow Molly Baz, and she is from the show Bon Appetit on YouTube.
Oh,
Bon,
okay.
the
Yeah,
cooking
yeah,
show in the kitchen. So she left already, and then she started her own podcast, released her own books and stuff like that. And her podcast. I mean, this is how my culture has changed, I guess, from my time being here. The name of the podcast is The Sandwich Universe. And from that, she actually talks about all the key sandwiches that people eat. They start with PB&J. They talk about BLT, and then from a chef's perspective, they talk about what can you add or not add to the sandwich, and what kind of spin that will give texturally, acidity, things like that. So
Wow.
yeah, I just use that as a inspiration to for cooking, right? Because here we cook quite a bit for ourselves. So we're like, oh, maybe we could add a touch of this or that, just to learn more about food, I guess.
Mm.
And obviously the other podcast I listen to is Two Gamer Dads.
All right. No,
So,
seriously, have
so
you heard the
Thanks
previous episodes?
Thanks for the plug.
yeah, I watched the one with Lam. That was great. His son with the magic trick and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Lam says the podcaster's name is John too, the one that you were talking about.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
yeah. I think I stopped at I listened to it when I lived in Shanghai. So I got into the whole 三国演义 is the Chinese word for the Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Mm-mm.
And I was always but then okay, my criticism of 三国演义, right? Especially when you listen to it in the podcast, is that it's very hard to keep track of the story threads after a while because so many things is going on in the whole story that after all you're like, what the heck is going on? Right? So that's part of it. But also but I think John Su, is that what his name is? Does a
Two.
pretty good job because he actually tells you okay, this guy you can forget. right?
Right.
Like when you read the book, you're like, oh, maybe this guy is gonna be important. Then two chapters later, he gets killed. Then you're like, oh, I guess he wasn't important. But then he actually tells you this guy is important. He'll come important later. Please pay attention to this guy. But they say this
Yeah.
guy, he sounds important now, but he's not important. He's gonna die. Yeah. So that's the cool
Spoiler.
thing about that podcast. Yeah, no spoiler, yeah.
JB's asking for the
What
name of the Sanko podcast.
Okay, I just
Romance of the Three
I think it's
Kingdoms.
just you just Google Three Kingdoms podcast. I think you'll get it already. Let me see. It's called threekingdomspodcast.com.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Was
it's
that part of
literally
your immersion true when you were in China to get to know the history a little
yeah.
better?
I think because in China, right, when I lived there, because when you turn on the TV in China, every show is like 武侠片. Most of the things you watch on, as in that's their like channel 8 dramas, right? Is their so I actually like my guilty pleasure is wuxia. So like in China, their media ecosystem is is super good actually. Like you can actually live. So they have Tencent has their own like Disney Plus or Tencent Plus, whatever you call it, where you can watch all their original. So they make original movies as well, but they also have their own you can watch other movies. You can even watch Hollywood movies if they purchase the rights for it, right? So in a sense, like if you want to watch a particular 武侠片, and that when I say 武侠片, I use it loosely in the sense that it's like the usual like 50 episodes that you can watch. Then you have to subscribe to that particular like Tencent or like a different website lah. Yeah, so that's what I kind of got into that. Then I was like, okay, I should listen to some podcasts as well, like on the way to school or something. Yeah, so that's very good. And actually, the ecosystem is really good. You know, like when you watch, okay, this is a good segue to my podcast. But I'm an NBA fan, so I love watching basketball.
Mm.
But in Singapore, if you want to watch NBA, you have to buy NBA TV, which is like in America, you can just watch it on like usually a sports news channel, right?
Because I don't subscribe to cable here, we only have Netflix and Disney Plus. And I guess and you have to do the same thing, NBA TV.
Yeah. So I think NBA TV is one way to get it in Singapore. It's really expensive in Singapore to buy NBA TV,
How
but
much
in
is
China, I think it's like $199 for
Oh.
the season
Wow.
for
Yes.
one season, and doesn't even include the playoffs.
I remember
So you
Chris
have
was
to buy the
telling me
playoffs
you can
separate.
buy like credits. Then
Yes,
you
you
use
can
the
buy
credits to watch the matches
games.
that you want.
Yes,
Right?
you can.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one way to do it. But even the credits only last for the season. So if you
How long
want
is
to
the
watch the
season?
playoffs, 82 games. Now it's less, I think.
Which
72.
is how many months?
Usually summer,
5 to 6
so they-
months. Yeah, 4 to 5 months.
Honestly, that's not too bad because I pay 50 a month to watch EPL. Oh shit, is there a match going on?
Whoa.
I mean, yeah, but I pay
I mean,
50 a month to watch
yeah,
soccer.
yeah.
To
I
watch
mean,
football.
EPL is also really expensive in Singapore to watch, to be fair.
Yes.
It's
So
crazy.
NBA TV. But okay, go back to China thing. In China, all the NBA matches are free. Like if you subscribe to that thing, which is like $7 a month, it's free. Everything. You can watch EPL, you can watch NBA, you can watch wrestling, anything you want to watch, any sport you want to watch, they have it. And it's free. Of course, you have to deal with the Chinese commentators lah. And somehow they'll find a way to tie it back to how Yao Ming is the greatest NBA player ever. But anyway, that's a separate issue. It's so funny. They'll keep talking about Yao Ming, even though Yao Ming is retired and not even in the game. But anyway,
I
yeah,
guess the $7 a month with the population that they have is enough
Yeah.
to strike a deal with NBA.
yeah. Anyway, you watch the game to watch the game, right? You're not unless the commentators are really really good. You just want to watch the game. And certain websites let you change the commentary, so you can actually watch the English commentary of it. Yeah. So another podcast, I listen to a few NBA podcasts, like depending on the journalist that covers it. I also and I recommend this to okay, this is not a plug for Christians, but there's a very good podcast and it's called The Bible Project. Have you heard of it before, Joe? The Bible
Mm.
Project. So they are
Not-
based in Portland, Oregon.
Mm.
So it's really cool because it's two people. Yeah, so one of them is a seminary like a theologian, and one of the other guys like he's like a he's a designer. So they together they make videos on like trying to explain the Bible in a way that is very understandable. So their videos on YouTube is like super popular. Like each video has like 2-3 million views because it's very simple, like 4-minute explanations on a very complicated topic, like creation, 5 minutes. Then they explain to you how the Bible explains it in a way that is theologically correct. But then on top of that, the podcast is like they take creation, but they stretch it over like 7 hours because it takes the video is only 5 minutes, but they have to explain how they spent so long researching it so that they can distill it down to 5 minutes. Yeah, and I find
Yeah,
that particularly interesting.
that would be really interesting. I'm curious. I'll definitely check it out because I wonder
Yeah.
what their spin on what's Christology in 5 minutes. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
that'll be
yeah,
interesting.
go check it out. The Bible
Yeah,
Project is
cool,
really
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marv?
Um, so yeah, I listened to quite a few podcasts or so, and I've been listening to podcasts since I was like, I don't know, at least I would say since I was playing WoW. So that's at least 15 to 16 years ago. Um,
Mm.
yeah. So obviously I started off listening to podcasts because of WoW. Like I went to listen to podcasts on WoW, and one of the most popular podcasts that is WoW related is this show called The Instance.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of like casual players lah. But so that introduced me to the world of podcasts, and there is this one particular I would say it's a company. I'm not really sure what you call like what do you call somebody who produces a lot of podcasts. I don't know. Yeah. So
A
it's
podcaster.
it's a studio, I guess, a podcast studio.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Frog Pen Studios. Like frog, like FROG and pens. So they do like a whole range of podcasts.
Okay.
They do gaming, they do like
Mm.
tech shows, they do movies, they do politics, but so it's US based lah. And the one that I listen to like quite religiously, like almost every day, is this show called The Morning Stream, TMS. So they stream every morning Mountain Time 9 a.m., which is like I think 11 p.m. Mountain. I can't remember, but obviously I listen to them on podcast, so it doesn't really matter. And it goes for like maybe an hour to an hour and a half. It's a daily show that they do it every weekday. Yeah, and so every day in the week they will have different guests that will come in to talk about different things. Yeah, so like maybe on one day they have a guest that comes in to talk about politics for certain section. The next day they have somebody who comes in and then they do something called recommendals, where they recommend stuff to watch on streaming services. Yeah, then they have like they used to have um a a pharmacist who comes in to talk about board games. Yeah, so it's actually a pretty good podcast. If you all have time, go
Okay.
check it out. It's called The Morning Stream. It's
Mm.
hosted by this two of they are called legacy podcasters. So they've won many awards, and they were like the first gen when it wasn't even called podcasting. Yeah,
Mm.
before like the new podcast like took a hold lah. So they are considered legacy podcasters. Yeah, and they have like a huge following. They do a lot of stuff. Yeah, but that's the main one that I listen to. There's a few other stuff that I think you all might know who Toto Biscuit is, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I used to follow him like quite a lot lah.
RIP.
Yeah, but yeah, rip. So press F to show respects. I think his wife continued, picked up um his legacy. But
Oh,
I didn't really follow lah after that. Yeah, the
okay.
wife's name is Gina, I think. Yeah, so those were the main stuff that I listened to lah. But
Mm.
because like if you follow a studio and they do so many shows, right? Most of the time you don't have time for other podcasts really. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would really recommend like when you have time, or you can just put them on the background, the morning stream, and then just like do your stuff and listen to them talk. They're almost like a radio show because they do a daily show, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's have you heard of Hardcore History
Yeah, I
by
heard of
Don
it.
Carlin? Yeah, so if I don't know if you are interested in like because you're talking about Romans of the Three Kingdoms and stuff like that, right? So Dan Carlin, he does like
Yep.
hardcore history where he talks about a particular event in history, like World War II or something. Maybe a specific like maybe the Japanese theater, and he spends like 3 episodes, but each episode is like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
I
it's
already
pretty cool as well.
started that. get into that one actually. Yeah, so that was actually a pretty good one. I would say he has a radio voice on the way he
Yeah,
speaks.
yeah. I mean, he has to, right? It's 4 hours of just him
History.
talking.
Yeah, and he talks about the first episode, right, about Singapore or something, or the Japanese occupation. He
Oh,
talked
did
about
he? I don't know.
yeah, he did
Thank
the
you.
whole thing about Singapore and that. So my
Oh,
friend, my American friend actually recommended that to me and said, "Hey, this guy's talking about your country." I'm like, "Oh, okay, let me go check it out." One interesting thing was the Japanese soldiers were fighting like all around, right? Philippines, all in
yeah,
that whole region, and some of them, even after the war has ended, after the bomb has dropped and everything, they were still fighting on the island for like 10 years after the war ended because they didn't
yeah,
receive
yeah,
aid.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. They didn't
So
know the war was over. That was the
yeah,
crazy part.
yeah.
Yeah, but that,
So
that
yeah,
showed the whole Japanese, like, I must fight to the end, pay respect to my emperor kind of mentality, right?
yeah. So that podcast is pretty interesting. I tried to put it on at home, but my wife's like, "Can you just? I cannot take this much action over dinner."
Yeah.
Wavy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and the way the guy
Maybe if it
speaks and
was
everything.
in maybe if it was in Hokkien, should be okay.
Maybe, maybe. I funny story. We were having dinner one day, and then I put you guys the two gamer dads on,
Yeah.
and then she was like, I'm trying very hard to focus here, because I think it was one of the episodes where it sounded more Singlish in that sense, and
Was
she's
it
like
blood?
she's been away for a while, so so she was like, this is great. I'm understanding more and more by the minute.
Her brain is like slowly like
Yeah, yeah. She has to
rewiring
change.
herself to understand
Yes.
Singlish.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Was it the Lam
That one.
episode? I assume it's the Lam episode, lah, if it
Yeah,
is.
No,
I
I,
think
I,
so.
I can't remember. I'm not gonna say it which episode,
Have you
but
listened to
it's
all
just
of them? The all
Yeah,
all
he
four,
yeah.
said
all five?
Oh, not fully.
Lam is like,
Some
hey,
fully.
hello.
it.
So let me ask you, which is your favorite?
You did it on the spot.
Let's not go.
This is his favorite. His own episode is his
Yeah,
favorite.
that's true.
That has to
No,
be true.
I will never listen to my own episode, but I will listen to the rest. Uh, but yeah, I think they've all been great so far. Just to, it's a form of catch up too, right? Like
Yeah,
with our
Yeah.
friends, just hey,
Yeah.
what's going on in our life? Because we haven't had the time to catch up. I've been away and
yeah.
everything, so
And all of you are
it's
very
been a good.
different, so all of you bring like
Yeah,
totally
it's very
different
cool.
content. Yeah.
Mm. I
Yeah.
I want to segue this into how different you are now because you're living in the US. I'll skip the best games first. We can go back to it later about games because I think we talked about a little bit. But I want to know because we live in Singapore, obviously. Like most of our people who are listening are in Asia, and we like I said earlier, we receive all this like news either from right wing or left wing sides depending on which echo chamber you choose to live in. But I want to ask because right now there are like we always hear about how things are very binary in the US. You're either like on one side or the other. And I would like to say Singapore isn't like that, but I think we are. It's just that we hide it a little bit better. But I want to ask how are just a general question, like how are things where you are now in the US? Yeah, general question.
Well, I mean, there's so many aspects, right? We talk
Yeah.
about the BLM movement, the Asian hate movement, and then the change in administration. There's all that stuff going on in the news, and then the world's having a ball at it, right? They're like, wow, look at what's happening in the US right now. It's like a movie. And then, even COVID, I looked up the numbers yesterday, and the US is 55% fully vaccinated. But 2 months ago, we just reached peak numbers again. That goes to show that the people who don't want to get vaccinated are really partying it up, I guess. And then, US got, started its vaccinations, I think in March timeframe. And Canada started only like 2-3 months ago, so more recently. And Canada is already 70% vaccinated. So again, numbers speak. I won't even talk about opinions. I'll just talk about numbers. And so, well, I would say generally things are okay. In my circle of friends, especially, we're meeting up. We're going out a little bit, mainly to each other's houses. Rarely do we like go out and dine in a restaurant, just because we want to be more careful. Because all of us have young kids at home.
Yeah.
But with news, though, I mean, I have this thing about news that I always ask, who do they work for? What is their intention when they share? when you look at the news in the US, and I don't watch much of it because it's all conjecture. They kind of like like
Mm.
pick fact 1, 2, and 5, and then come up with a whole story and talk about it for 30 minutes, debating amongst each other. It's like, why do I want to listen to your opinion? I just want the news.
Yeah, the different
Yeah.
channels are very, very politicized, right?
Yeah, that's skewed left, right,
Yeah.
all that. So yeah, it's pretty tiring to follow one closely. I just want the news, so I kind of
Mm.
sometimes I look at what Singapore reports about the US. And I'm like, okay, so that's the that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is that true? We don't know.
Okay, honestly, the question is, do you want a news
Opinions. Yeah.
in the country to be like either one-sided, siding one political party's view, or do you want it to be totally dominated by one party with no opposing views? Because I mean that's like US versus
Uh,
us, right?
uh,
Yeah,
uh,
because our
uh,
media is state controlled, right? I mean, we're 160th on the
eh,
freedom ranking, so
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So and then also a story to share. I think when my dad was managing a shipyard in Thailand once, the whole militarization yellow shirt red shirt thing that happened in Thailand like a few years
Yeah.
ago, or more than a few years ago now. I was in college then. Uh,
It
his the
feels like just a few years ago, but it's actually quite a
Yeah.
long time ago, right?
Yeah, I think what 8-10 years ago already. Now
Shit,
crazy, right?
we're damn old, yeah.
We age guys. But anyway, the workers in the shipyard he was managing said, "Hey boss, we are not coming to work for the next 4 days," and he was like, "What's why?" And they're like, "We're going to protest on at this street." And like, why do you want to protest? I mean, you have a job here. What? Oh, they are paying us more than you are on the daily, and and we just sit there and we get food and we just shout. That's all we do. so so that happened, and all the news channels around the world went to that street and shot, and it looked like the whole of Thailand was
Yeah.
up in arms and things, but it was just that one street. Everything else was normal in the whole
Yeah.
area. That's what my dad told me. So
Yeah.
again, with news and everything, it's just how much attention do you want to pay to it? I mean, so that's why sometimes I just look at the facts and okay, that's done. That's enough. I don't need to hear the opinions of the newscasters or listen to an hour-long debate about how you feel and how I feel about X.
Mm.
So yeah, that's generally how I
So,
feel about news
oh,
here.
we have so much of it. I can imagine the can of worms we can open with this topic because, okay, so like we'll see where this goes. But like I was thinking about, so I have some American friends as well, right? Who, apart from usual, who I always try to ask them what's it like there, right? Because
Mm.
we whatever news we get in Singapore, it's like third hand news, right?
Right.
And then, like I said from the start, everything is filtered through whatever political belief you have, and then you. So, firstly, my first question is there any news, like whether it's a newspaper, um, website or whatever, that is the most unbiased or unfiltered? Like, you know what I mean? That has not much
Or who
political.
takes the most fair middle ground,
Yeah.
in
Is
your
there
opinion?
any?
Are you really asking that question?
I mean, I just want to. So if I want to read news about the US, who should I read? That's my question.
China News 8. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
I I don't know. I mean, I don't subscribe to any of them because I feel like they're all opinions and they have agendas. And so that's why I kind of look at the business news. But even the business news, like Wall Street Journal, for example, they have their spin on it. They have their interests to protect as well. So yeah, surprisingly, a lot of the big things that I listen to from Singapore half the time about the US because I feel like maybe I
Oh,
was from there, but I trust it more, and
okay.
even in the news channels. So let me give you an example. So like in Singapore, they'll say so and so reported this, and it's factual. It's more factual to me, at least in my perspective. And then when
Yeah.
you come here, it's almost like so we heard this. Now this is what I think about it. And I like
Oh,
you're already
As in
in
the
yeah,
anchor style is very different, right? It's like
yeah.
normally there's
The
like a
top
panel
one.
of them, then they're like discussing about the news. They,
Yeah,
they don't
Yep,
they don't like report the news, right?
yeah.
exactly. And then what is it for the consumer? It's for them to, oh, if four of them both agree, then they must be right. But they're
Yeah,
working
echo
in
chamber.
boss. So
Yeah, echo chamber. Yeah.
It's totally an echo
yeah,
chamber. But even
yeah.
in Singapore, okay, so I don't want to bring this. Okay, now I will bring this topic up. So the idea of let's talk about vaccinations, like the anti-vaccine and the pro-vaccination and anti-vaccination groups. So like I know, like you just said, US is 55% fully vaccinated.
Mhm.
How much do you think that number will rise over the next 6 months?
Very, very slowly in my perspective.
Yeah,
Because
because
I
to
mean,
me, it's like if you want to get vaccinated, you would be vaccinated already.
yeah, exactly. So it's there. I mean, we have the supply. It's not like we don't.
Yeah.
Canada, on the other hand, started a lot later because in Canada's healthcare system is a little different. They have a maximum budget that they can spend on pandemics and things like that because their
Mm.
healthcare is very different from the US, right? It's more shared. The government will pay for a lot of it compared to the US, where you have to have your own insurance. And so with that kind of countrywide kind of system, they had
Mm.
caps, so they couldn't afford the what
Yep.
vaccines cost at the very beginning. And
Mm.
so that's why they started later, and look at them, they're already at 70%. When they are 4 months later, the vaccination rates haven't went up a lot here, so I don't expect it to
Mm.
go up a lot quicker.
And
Yeah.
is it still like a point of contention in the US? Like, do people actually like, because in Singapore there is like in right now in Singapore there is the whole Singapore's what 80
80 plus
84
80% already. Yeah.
84% vaccinated, but then our issue is different. Our issue is not that people don't want, although there is a population that doesn't want
Our
to get
issue is
vaccinated.
our government very humpty. Yeah.
Hey, so it's okay to is you're more careful when you talk about China, but then when you talk about government, who cares?
Yeah.
MMTF, you messed up. No. Yeah. No, so I mean Singapore's a different situation. But I was gonna say that there are Telegram anti-vax groups in Singapore.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you
Yeah.
enter these anti-vax groups, right? It's scary, you don't know. It's like they spread all these news and you're like, what the heck is where's your source? Doesn't matter what your source is, it's true. Therefore it must be right. Right. That's what they are. Uh,
Yeah. And then
So
yeah,
a lot of the
so
so
news.
let me share an anecdote, like a personal experience. Um, I have relatives in the US as well,
mm,
and um, I know some of them are anti-vax
mm,
because they believe that the vaccine will alter your DNA. So okay, so without naming names, like the older generation, they tend to like um have their own WhatsApp groups and then they send information to each other, right? So
yeah,
initially my mom didn't wanna vaccinate because one of the
mm,
relatives was like sharing videos and articles and saying,
mm,
oh, this is what's gonna
mRNA.
happen. Yeah.
Mm,
Then I told my mom like um the whole vaccine creation has been researched by people with like multiple PhDs, thousands and 10,000 hours like spent man hours spent researching to create the vaccine. And you're not gonna believe them, but you're gonna believe somebody who went online and read some Google article or watched some YouTube video. Then I was like, just get the damn vaccine lah. And eventually she did lah. Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
wow, I cannot believe that people living in this age, right? But they behave as though they're living in like the dark ages. Yeah, I don't know. It just to me it's like I can't fathom how people can think like that. But of course, I mean there are some people who are just more cautious. They don't
Yeah.
believe the all the rubbish that's going on, all the bullshit. But
Mm,
they're just more cautious. So I mean that's fine. I think that's fine.
mm,
Yeah. But if you go around spreading like information that it's obviously wrong or like misinformation,
yeah.
then I don't know. Yeah. To me it's like, you're just need to shut up. Yeah.
What are some of the justifications that they use in the US now for anti-vaccinations?
I mean, I know some people too, like Marv here, that are anti-vax, and they're generally of a different generation. And for example, like, oh, don't have a kid now because there's this heart-wrenching story about this one mom who had the second kid and then they died because the mom got COVID. I'm like, sure, but what are all the other facts? Was she already XYZ and
Yeah,
all that stuff, right?
yeah.
And so this is the same thing that I talk about in the news. I will tell you this one thing that ticks me off. I may be cold, but it ticks me off on the radio. Like when I turn on the radio here, and they have 1 to 2 minute long ads.
Yeah.
There's the same person telling the story of how they got COVID and how they suffered and everything. Maybe I'm cold. Maybe I don't care enough. But I'm
Mm.
like, and then the voice is always very pitiful and everything, and it's always the same story, and they're trying to appeal to something. And so this very non-statistical appeal to emotion thing, I'm tired of it basically.
What
Yeah,
what
and
what are
so
they getting? What are they trying to do though? What's the intention of the ad?
no, it's just the ad, get this insurance to cover you, things like that.
Oh my god.
It'll take care of all your needs, that kind of stuff. I'm like, enough, guys. Don't keep
Yeah.
taking single, so to speak, pitiful stories and then explode it into a business thing. And I'm just tired of it, really. Yeah, and it's all over, right? Yeah, here they like to play up the emotions and yeah.
Yeah.
So
Are things different now that your government has changed?
from a personal perspective, I guess we have small differences, right? Like for example, having a kid, we have $300 a month now given to us per child. And then instead of getting a tax credit at the end, they're just paying you the cash up front. And so that's helping people through COVID and stuff like that.
Mm.
Obviously they salary cap that. So obviously the people who earn
Are
400,000 a year don't get it basically. Um, and they don't pay for it too because they evade. Anyway, let's not get into that. But yeah, I think generally there's still a lot of noise after the change. People are still happy. People still supporting Trump. Things like that. And I guess I'm not the best person to ask because I try not to pay attention to these things. Because if it doesn't affect me, I don't want to get too much up in arms about it.
Mm.
Doesn't affect me too directly from day to day. But obviously, administrative changes, have waves, right? You talk about budgets and things like that, and how much you're spending on different things in the U.S. And a lot can be disagreed. I can disagree with a lot of it, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah. So maybe on that topic, like because you're raising a child now in the US, right? And so um how I mean it's a bit different now because your kid's only 2. So the raising a child thing probably hasn't like fully come into to play with school and everything. But how different but you mentioned a little bit because you talked about like work-life balance is different and everything. How different is raising a child in the US compared to Singapore?
My wife and I think it's 100% different. Because let me pose this question to you guys: how often do both you and your wife have time off the kid?
With the kid?
Time off,
A
as in
Time
away
off,
from the
meaning
kid.
either one of you is caring for the kid in a week.
As in
Away
both of
from
us
the
not
kid.
caring or one
Not
of
not
us?
caring, meaning someone's caring for the
As
kid.
in both of us,
Like
like
both
at the same
over
time?
the same time. Yeah,
Okay, I'll go first. In fact, I
Mm.
just spent like a week away from Meredith, but that's a different story lah. Because
Right,
Charlene
right.
was on QO quarantine order, but on a regular week at least maybe once a week. Once a week, my parents will take her for the night. Yeah, so we have like maybe one night to ourselves. Yeah,
Right.
and
And
then
then
our one weekend maybe at the in-laws, and I mean we're still there, but the in-laws are helping to take care. So, I mean we can like go take a nap or do our own stuff. Yeah, so at least maybe twice. Lam says every day.
and how about during the week? Like working hours or like
Working,
during the week.
I mean, okay, so working hours, obviously, she's not even at home because my mom,
Right.
my parents take care of her like from 8 a.m. to like 6 p.m.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't see her at all during work hours.
I
Yeah.
see. True.
Oh, I'm a different story though. I work from home all the time.
Right.
So I see her. In fact, you should ask me. The times that I don't see her is rarer.
Right. Right.
So I,
Yeah.
I I'm always with her in the morning, right, and the whole day.
That's nice. I mean, and that's nice, and that's
Mm.
my story as well, right? And so I look at my cousins in Singapore, and the weekends, it's so nice that family can help to support and take care, and then you guys can have date night or just take a break. Really, here, I mean, like my closest family is about 2 hours away,
Mm.
and so it's really just us, 24/7, and there's almost no break unless the family member wants to drive over for 2 hours and then take care of him for a while, or we pay for a babysitter. But COVID, so
Mm.
so it's like basically it's almost 24/7, and I guess it's pretty trying, I guess, on
Yeah.
on both of us when it's
Mm.
nonstop in that sense.
Yeah.
Um, and so my wife also stopped working, and then he's taking care of him full time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, because I was putting the cost together. How much does it cost for a babysitter to take care of uh, my son for 8 hours a day, uh, 52 weeks, 5 days a week, normal working hours, and it's about 30,000, 35,000 US.
What?
That yeah,
The babysitter earns that much?
No lah,
right.
that's a full-time babysitter lah, right?
A full-time babysitter, but
Yeah.
Oh.
but that's after tax money because tax rates are a lot higher in the US as well. So that's 30K
Mm.
after tax. And then how much does it cost to pay for someone to clean your house once a week? That's about 5,000 a year. And so like I would subscribe to getting a domestic helper if I could, but over here it's someone's salary. It's like you add everything up plus shopping, cooking, all that stuff. It's like 50 grand easy to have a domestic helper here a year. So that's why it's just tough. I mean, it's just on us basically.
So you
And
think it's tougher in the States, basically?
pros and cons, right? It's always two
Yeah.
sides, right? Like depends on at home you might be subject to a lot of pressures. I think
Mm.
Jamie talked about it too, right? What are the expectations of a mother or a parent really, and a lot of views can be imposed on you when you have more
Mm.
interactions with family or
Mm.
so
Yeah.
help and also views and fighting that, so that can be challenging as well. But
Mm.
yeah, I think it's different, and this is us, and so it's fine. But it's so different because he hasn't met his grandparents yet since he was born because COVID.
Oh, COVID
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, so
Yeah. You
Oh.
can't come
I
back.
don't
You
want to.
can't fly over.
I mean, I could, and then I could strike a deal with management to work off hours, but I don't know how I'll manage working in the same hotel room with my family like through the night,
Just
basically during the
upgrade to a suite, and then you can have your own room.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's because my kid's really active, so I don't think we will survive him being in one room for
Not
like
for 14 days. No way.
Yeah.
You'll die. You die on the first day.
So Jamie is
right.
saying in Australia it's 100 to 120 per day for childcare.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that,
Oh, this
that,
is
that is high as well. I think
expensive.
here for babysitter is about $15 an hour. So
Yeah. Singapore is actually also quite expensive if you like put them in like
Okay. Full
daycare,
day?
infant
Full
care.
day? Full day daycare?
Yeah, it's easily like
Yeah.
I don't know, 2K a month, something like that.
No, it
yeah,
depends on,
I
depends
mean,
on how
it
much you
depends
want
on
to
where you
pay
want to
lah.
go. Like
The
if you want to go for
the
like
cheaper ones,
yeah, if you go for like those government subsidized one, it's less than a K.
800. Yeah,
Yeah, but
800,
if you go to
900.
like a branded one, it can be like a few thousand a month. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
pick your poison.
And it's also like what you want, right? Like, so I don't judge people for deciding to put their kids in childcare, right? Because they want to work. They or they maybe some people they have to work, right? But I also don't judge people who choose to quit work to take care of their child,
yep,
right? Because it's all about priorities. Like, what do you prioritize?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
And I guess we were lucky because my wife always wanted to be a mom. You ask her,
Mm.
what do you want to do in college? I want to be a mom. Like, okay, great. We're in the US. You can be a mom.
My dream wife, come here.
Very different from, like maybe dating someone in Singapore where they usually want a career or, something like that. Obviously, this is a generalization, but
Yeah.
chances are that it'll be different. That you won't dream to be a mom. Maybe
Mm.
they're out there, but it's pretty rare, I would say, in a
Mm.
city. So yeah,
Mm.
so that's different in the US. I guess in childcare costs and also
Yeah.
amount of time we spend with him is practically perpetual in that sense.
Yeah, like he can't. Basically, now I mean, you probably don't see it that much because your family is away from you, right? Like, but like do you see? Like, I'll give you an example because like for Rebecca, my daughter, she's very friendly. She likes playing with other people, but she will not let anybody carry her.
Mhm.
Except like me and my wife. Like the moment anybody carries her, she'll just like straight away like turn around and like, no, go back, go back. But
Right.
that's because we take care of her 24/7.
Right.
Like my wife
Right.
and I, right? So is it very similar for you as well?
Yeah, it is. It is. And so I think Marv posted in the chat a while back, like your in-laws will pick you up or something. Or maybe I was talking to you, Marv, and you said your in-laws will pick her up in the morning or something. And I was like, wow, that'd be great. But the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
I mean,
And
yeah,
so,
my parents lah. They pick her up at 8 every morning. So I just
right,
send
right,
her
right.
down. My dad drives over and then he takes Meredith back to their place. Then they send her back like maybe 6 p.m., 7 p.m. After
Yeah,
her
and
dinner lah. Yeah.
so that's like music to, to my ears, right? Like, wow, that's great. And then it's like, don't need to pay, like here it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Free,
But
free.
But there are pros too, like Drew mentioned, like his situation. So, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. How? Okay, so firstly, I want to say congrats, Marv. Meredith just celebrated her
She's turning one
first.
tomorrow.
Oh,
So today was the
tomorrow, right? What?
All right.
pre birthday celebration.
But you cut
Oh,
the cake already, right?
Yeah, we bought her 2 cakes lah. Yeah.
Walao,
Yeah.
this
Oh,
is.
I want to show the cake. Hold on. Maybe I can.
Can,
Okay, we can keep
you should
talking.
eat
Let me
it.
download the picture and then I
Is
can
this
show.
is this baby edible cake?
It's from this place called Little House of Dreams. So they do baby birthday cakes, kid friendly birthday cakes
Okay,
lah.
she can eat it.
Yeah, but obviously I don't give her the
Frosting.
fondant. Is it that you call the
Yeah,
all
frosting?
the
frosting.
Yeah,
Basically, she can eat the
I give her
flour
the
bit.
sponge cake lah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a rainbow. It was a rainbow cake inside. Okay, hold on. Let me just I can
Yeah.
show the
Yeah,
picture now.
We saw it in the chat,
Yeah,
but yeah, you can show to whoever.
Really
is,
nice.
Jamie should take a look at it.
yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
Let me just download it and share.
Yeah, but I was
That's the cake.
wow. Oh wait, we can't see the okay. Sure, yeah.
Let me just make it
It's
smaller.
a unicorn. It's a unicorn.
And that's Meredith, obviously. She
Yeah,
kept trying to touch the cake. So the horn,
of
right?
course.
It's totally made of the sugar thingy, the icing lah, hardened lah,
Oh.
and it's spray painted with, obviously edible gold dust or whatever. Oh, Jamie's asking what's a baby friendly cake. I think it's like lower in sugar. They can process it easier, and then they don't
So for
they don't
example,
go crazy lah.
baby can't eat honey
Yeah,
in the first year. So like if you put honey in your product, then they
they
take
are
it out.
not
I didn't know this, by the
advised
way. The
to
babies
eat
can eat honey.
normal cake because of
Yeah.
the high amount of like processed sugar and all that. Whatever it is lah. But yeah, so this was the cake, and
Yes,
let me show you the inside. The
yeah,
inside
so
is pretty
Jamie
cool
said
also.
maybe meaning babies cannot eat normal cake. I guess they could. They just might
I guess.
might get
Yeah,
I
so
don't
this
know.
was the
It's
inside.
just too sweet for them. Like because babies don't have to eat very bland food actually generally at the start.
I basically
Oh
like
wow.
chopped the unicorn's head in half and split it open.
So basically
Yeah.
she can eat the red, yellow, the
Yeah,
orange,
she's
yellow,
eating the stuff
and
inside lah.
green parts.
Yeah, and she
Yeah,
loved
she
it.
can't eat
She
the white
freaking
bit.
loved it. Like
Of course.
every mouth right she eat right, she will smile and laugh. She literally like laugh. Yeah.
She's sugar high. It's a
Yeah.
sugar high.
So she loved it. Yeah, and what happened was this morning she actually had her first meltdown. Like her first ever full blown meltdown. Yeah.
What happened?
So Sherilyn bought her some baby friendly crayons lah. Yeah. So in the morning, like she wanted to play. So I took the crayons out and then I got like 3-4 pieces of paper and then I put it around her to let her like, do her drawing and stuff. Yeah, washable
Yeah.
crayons is what Sherilyn's saying. And then she crawled away from. So after drawing like quite a while, she was holding the crayon. Then she crawled away. And she they crawl on the floor, right? So
So she
every crawl
tried
that every step that she took, she was drawing on the floor.
through.
So she drew
Oh,
like all over the floor. And then I was like, what are you doing? Like, come back here. So I chased after her and I confiscated her crayons. I took them away from her.
Mm.
Oh, and then she went into a meltdown, yeah. She
Wow.
screamed like, and it was like quite early in the morning, it's like 10, 11 o'clock a.m.
Yeah.
And she screamed like at the top of her lungs and like she just went nuts. Um, yeah, she couldn't be pacified. So yeah, 9 a.m. And she couldn't be pacified. I couldn't calm her down. So it's like I was doing this thing called um like children like below the age of 1 or around 1 year old, they can't regulate their emotions. Yeah.
Mm.
Every huge emotion to them is like, the end of the world kind of thing. So I was doing something called where you hold her, holding, containing,
Mm.
and mirroring. I don't know if you read about it before, but it's a whole like there's a whole theory behind it, lah, where an
Mm.
adult helps them to regulate their
I
effect.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was holding her and I was like trying to talk to her calmly, trying to explain to her why she cannot like draw on the floor. But she just continued screaming for like I think easily 15 20 minutes. So I was holding
oh
her
wow.
and she was
Wow.
just screaming and screaming and
Wow.
screaming. And then a couple of times Sherilyn wanted to come and like take over. Then I was like I wanted to just give in to her. I was like, no. So she wanted the crayons.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you like you cannot just give in to her. Like they don't understand, but you can
Yeah.
at least teach them the consequences. But they may not understand like the actual action, right?
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
understand the consequence. So after like 15 20 minutes, wow, I couldn't take it. I'm
That's
embarrassed to say that I lost my cool lah. So I picked her up like that. And then I like shouted at her. I was like, "Can you stop crying? Why do you keep crying?" Then
Yeah.
Charlene came over and like just took her away. Because she know like I cannot already. Yeah, I reached my
Yeah.
point, like my breaking point. Then so she brought her into the room to like calm her down and like gave her some milk lah. Then it was so pitiful. I felt so guilty because as she was drinking milk, right?
Yeah.
Then she was going like
Yeah.
that.
She gave me
Yeah,
the set. Yeah.
she was like sobbing, and then
We all
she
know.
was literally scared of me because I lost my
Yeah.
cool at her, right? So when
Yeah.
Charlene is scared, when Meredith is scared, she does this action where she like pats her chest with her fingertips. Yeah, so in Chinese it's papa lah, right? So she's scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says that. So she was actually scared of me because I shouted at her. Then eventually she drank milk until she like as she sobbed, then she fell asleep. Then I was like talking to Sharon and just reflecting like, oh, I felt so guilty because I lost my cool, even though I
Mm.
tried for so long. But obviously there's not justification for me to lose my cool lah. Yeah, but
Mm.
sometimes as parents, you're like, wow, you don't know what to do because they refuse to. Obviously they don't understand you when they're so young, and you
Yeah.
can't reason with them, and there's no way to stop them from like
Yeah.
from going crazy. But yeah, I told my wife like, okay, I think we need like a word to for you to tell me to go
Safe.
away.
Safe word. Safe word.
Yeah, safe word. So I need to get out of the situation. Yeah, because to me it's like I can do it. I can calm her down until the point where I can't, and then obviously I don't know when I can, and then I just boom
Yeah.
explode, right?
Yeah. You need intervention.
So
I think
I paid my penance by cradling her for like 45 minutes or 40 minutes as she slept. Yeah, so
nice.
I just held on to her and like said sorry
Penance.
to her and kissed her. Yeah. Lam says it's time for you to F off me. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it really sneaks up on you, doesn't it? Like things like that, and you're like, I'm fine, I'm okay, and then suddenly you just the
Yeah.
switch,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
you
just
just reach your
explode.
limit and then you boom. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sneaks up on you quicker than you would think, right? Of yourself.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
happened to me as well. And the same thing happened. The wife stepped in. Okay, I'm going. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Before
then,
you do anything you regret, right?
right, and after like a minute later, you start thinking, like, yeah, shouldn't have done that. He doesn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Parenting.
I felt really, really guilty. Yeah, but it was a learning point for me lah. So thankfully because she's one, she her memory is like probably damn short. Then when she woke up, she woke up. Then she looked up at me because I was holding her, literally holding her. She was lying on my chest lah. She was like just sleeping on my chest. Then she woke up. She looked at me. Then I was like, at that split second, I was like, oh crap, is she gonna get? She's gonna start crying. Then she just gave me like a huge smile, and then she closed her eyes and continued sleeping again. Then I was like, yes,
Forgiven.
I'm forgiven.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
that was the first my first or rather our first full blown like toddler tantrum.
Mm.
Yeah,
You had
you
a
know,
meltdown.
sorry. Yeah, I had a
You
meltdown.
had a
Yeah,
meltdown.
she melted down and then I melted down.
Yeah, you both
It
meltdown
was a chain
together.
reaction. But yeah, you know what they say, right? Like, about toddler logic, you can't. There's no way to reason with them. They get crazy over like the most bolel things. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
Does
sure
Joel
there's
have
more to
anything
come, lah.
to
I'm sure
add
there's
to
more to
that?
come.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Joel
No,
is
my
is two. Yeah.
my kid's at this point where he can kind of tell you what he wants, and so
Uh,
that helps a lot. Because I would say from one to 1.5 is difficult because they want to move but they aren't really mobile yet, and so they get
mm,
frustrated. Like, but like
yeah.
at two, at this point of time when he's almost two, he can move where he wants to move, but he can't tell you yet. But he can kind of hint to you and point and things like that. So it
Yeah.
helps a lot. That doesn't mean you should give in all the time,
yep,
Yeah.
but at least you know what he wants, and then you can use that object to teach him a lesson of
Yeah.
why you can't have this. Can you have this later? And then you can try to reason with him. But I heard
Yeah.
that only at 3, then maybe Lam can attest to this, but only at 3,
Teenager.
close to 3, then you can
Yeah.
actually reason to them
the
using
logic
words.
center turns on right around 3. They can really understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why
Yeah.
people say
I'm
terrible twos, right? That's the thing, I guess.
terrible
Terrible
twos.
twos,
Yeah, then teenager.
teenager.
Yeah,
Teenager.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
So
it's
I
something that
was
we talked about also like in Lam's episode about
mm,
how do you teach your child,
mm,
when they're so young. It's really hard.
mm,
It's really hard because as
mm,
an
How do
adult,
you tell?
it's like logical to you, right? You're
mm.
like
Right.
it doesn't make sense, but then to them it's like you can't tell them that what they want doesn't make sense. Yeah, like how do
Right.
I tell Meredith that she can't draw on the floor with crayons, but she's like, I just want my crayons to draw on the floor. Then you're
Yeah,
like,
no, the idea of
yeah,
cleanliness and like not belonging to her, it doesn't register
yeah,
with her.
yeah,
So like, but you don't realize that you have to explain so many different concepts to her
yeah. To us it's
before
like
she gets the
simple,
idea.
yeah,
Yeah,
but to her it's just
yeah,
I want this now, yeah,
yeah.
and you are in my
I
way.
was I was so like Rebecca is 10. Yeah, Rebecca's younger. She's 10 months yesterday. So I'm amazed that like I think now I think the leap from like 8 9 months probably all the way to like 1.5, they learn so much
Mm.
stuff, right? So she's starting to be more like she's now super mobile. She'll crawl everywhere. She'll stand. So it's very funny because recently she learned how to stand, but she don't know how to sit back down. So she'll stand up on her little thing, like unsupported. Then
You
she'll
should
look
get
around. Then
scared,
she'll
right?
start to whine. She'll
Yeah,
start to
you're like, help
whine.
me.
I'll be looking at her like, do you need me to help you come down, or do you want me to, or are you just whining for a different reason? Most of the time, it's because she's like, look at me, give me the set look, help me down, please. So that day I was trying to like teach her how to like come back down, but she learned it recently. But it's quite funny what you say because now she actually, I'm trying to see her personality, right? So like now I can't change her on the changing mat without her running away. Like it's impossible to change her now. Like previously, the first 9 months, she was an angel. She was there, like even with nothing in her hands, she'll just like look at the sky, maybe look at her hands and play with her hands, suck her thumb. Now the more I put her down, before I even do anything, she's trying to crawl off the whole mat already. And like the moment she tries to grab something which she's not supposed to grab, and I pull it away from her, she's like, no, like you can't take it away from me. So I was like, wow, this okay, so this is what it means to like the start of like trying to not give in to everything, but also knowing that she has no idea of why she can't have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't know what's right and wrong. It's just my way or
Yeah.
no way. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting in the future when our kids grow. Like I said, I think 1 and 2 year old, 3 year old, it'll be more interesting.
Yeah.
So Joe, are you planning to come back?
You mean like for good or to visit?
I mean, I don't. Yeah,
either I guess.
either.
Well, I guess my wife and I spoke and we were like, if we want to go back for good, it has to be before Asher starts school.
Yeah.
Because the school system is very different here and there. And
Yeah, different is the understatement, man.
well, I mean, here they have good schools too, like private schools that, are different and more protected. So hopefully. And so, things like that. So that decision has to happen before a certain age. But as of now, I think we're pretty happy and content here. We've built a solid group of friends from the church that we went to, a great support group, and so yeah, pretty happy here. And maybe it's like I don't want to disturb the balance because
Yeah.
my wife is used to having me around a lot. Like true, if you were to go into office and work 8 to 10 hours a day,
Yeah.
I don't think that would be taken very well. And so hence, this is life now, and this looks like life for the at least the next few years.
Mm.
Yeah, but definitely visits though. It's just that now,
Once
we talked about
COVID.
Once you
Yeah.
can come back without being quarantined, lah, for sure.
Yeah, man.
definitely because that's not possible. Because my kid's so used to running outside, and then he would do the same thing, but he would use chalk and draw on the driveway in the front on the concrete
That's not too bad.
driveway.
Then you can
It's
just wash
fine.
it off, right?
Raining now and it washes off. I don't really care, but he's so used to going outside. You know what I mean? And so quarantining will just kill us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not coming back anytime soon until that goes away.
Okay.
It's okay as
I
long
think
as
at the
you
start,
as long as you ship my Steam Deck over, it's fine. You don't have to come back.
Yeah,
at
guys.
the start of COVID, what was it? I emailed the immigration in Singapore at the very beginning when COVID started out, and they were pulling people back from overseas to Singapore. And
Uh-huh.
we emailed the immigration office and like, my wife is American, but she has a PR. My son is American, he doesn't have a PR because he was born in the US. Can we gain access to the country if we decide to come back? And then they responded, we'll let you know at the airport. I'm like, what the heck? I'm not gonna,
What
I'm not
kind of
gonna,
answer is that?
because he's not a citizen and she isn't a citizen anyway.
Walao.
So
So
I'm
just
like,
say
I was
no.
pretty disappointed in the answer.
Yeah.
Gave up, so obviously I didn't go back.
We'll let you know
COVID.
at the airport. That's not even like I would rather have a no.
Yeah, and then fly back and then say no and then fly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like such a starky like oh you find out at the airport when we choose to send you back.
No. So, yeah, that's a bad taste in my mouth on that one.
It's MMTF's fault. Everything is their fault. No, I'm just kidding. I tell you, the public sentiment on them now is not good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not continue, or this podcast will be taken down.
Pofma,
Maybe as a
Pofma.
last, Pofma. Maybe as a last part, let's end on something a little bit lighter. Um, uh, let's talk about food. My favorite topic after games. So we can skip the best games we played this year, but I want to ask you, because traditionally, I know America is famous for lots of very famous restaurants, very good food, but traditionally American food has a stigma of just being very big and unhealthy, right? Generally, what are the best? Is that stereotype true? First question, and what are some of the best foods that you've had in the US?
So stereotype is true. I guess, again, statistically, obesity rates are there. So you don't have to argue that. I'm always about numbers. And so, that is what it is. And all the fast food here is horrible compared to Singapore. McDonald's,
Really?
Burger King, and all that stuff. It's
Oh,
really
really?
bad.
Yeah.
Like even here, like in the circles that I'm in or the people that I work with, when you say where are you having lunch and you say McDonald's, people will look at you like, what the heck? Like, why are you going to McDonald's?
You
So
poor, you pleb.
but in Singapore, it's like, yeah, McDonald's. It's very different. So because the quality is so different, not because of the people.
Oh, sidetrack. Samurai Burger is coming back.
Wow,
Oh.
bring
Do you miss
memories.
how much do you miss Samurai Burger, bro?
I do miss some. The burger that I miss most though, it was the one that I had in Japan, the Ebi burger.
Oh, Abby Burger.
Oh, you
That's
like
a
the
great
Ebi
burger.
Burger?
Yeah, it's one of my preferred ones. Non
Singapore had it also, but I don't
Oh no,
like it.
it's different. Abby Burger Singapore, Abby Burger Japan, different. Not the same.
really.
Okay.
Not the same. It's
But
different.
yeah. Anyway, you can continue.
But, okay, so food. So the things that I like. Let's go in a price scale. Let's start from low to high.
Olive Garden.
Oh my gosh,
Applebee's.
that will only taste good in the college days, and that's the end of it, basically. Well, Detroit pizza is a thing that I like, and my wife and I enjoy it. A pan pizza where the crust is about this thick,
Yeah,
and they butter
deep dish, right? Yeah.
It's like deep dish, but it isn't because deep dish is
Okay.
Chicago. Right next to
Yeah.
Chicago, the pan, and then it's like basically eating like it feels like fried chicken, that kind of thing, and the crust because it's so thick, it's super crispy, and it's like it comes in squares or rectangles. It's not a circle
Oh,
basically in a pan.
is
Um,
that cheap?
yeah, it's cheap. Like a pizza is like $10 or something like that. It's fine.
A whole
So
pizza.
yeah, but it's only like this big because it's a square, right? Yeah, and or rectangle if you want, but you usually get the square because the corners are nice. Because you actually want the crust on this one. 'Cause
More
it's
corners
nice
is better, right? Yeah.
and buttery crispiness basically. And so that's Detroit style pizza, and then Detroit barbecue is pretty good. The barbecue restaurants here, like I like sauces. That's just my bias. And the barbecue restaurants here like will give you a choice of 5 sauces. You can mix and match what you want.
Whoa.
There's like
Mm.
curry, there's like apple barbecue, things like that. So they really take it seriously over
Mm.
here. People always think like barbecue Texas, right? And Texas
Yeah.
is big for the dry rub, the dry
Yeah.
rub
Yeah.
kind of. But here
Yeah.
is in the sauce version, and they give you all kinds of sauces too. So that's pretty darn good, I would say.
Yeah.
Moving up the price price range. There are some pretty cool fusion restaurants here, I would say. One of them is called Takoi, Takoi. It's actually a Thai restaurant, but
Oh.
it has I think it has Thai dishes, sure, but it also has like it does like Thai ribs, and that's very different. So they're taking the Detroit like rib culture, and then
Mm.
they're putting it into Thai food, and it's
Mm.
so good because let me describe this in a few words. It's basically ribs done the normal way, like a barbecue would. Then they would put a batter on it and fry it so it's crispy,
Ooh.
and then they would put a caramelized fish sauce on top to have that Asian twist.
Ah.
And then they
Sounds
serve
good.
with that they serve like a watermelon slaw to like
Mm.
to balance it basically. So I'm like, wow, you know, fusion Detroit style plus Thai food, pretty darn good, I would say. And then finally the stuff that I really like, but also it's it's more expensive and we don't do it very often. Is the underground dining scene here. There's a lot of bespoke dining events, live fire BBQ,
Oh.
things like that. And, like you have to book way in advance, and then it's like a dungeon down, or underground and things like that. And it's on like 8 sittings, things like that. And there's this place called Frame as well, like in near me. And it's an event space where they have like different award-winning chefs, and they'll do like a tasting menu, like 1 weekend a
Oh,
month.
wow.
So the
Okay.
dining scene here, I guess, it's not New York, it's not Singapore, obviously, it's not a
Yeah.
big city, but it's
Mm.
enough, I would say. It's
Mm.
livable. From a Singaporean standpoint, I would say it's livable, the
Yeah.
food scene. Yeah, so
Mm.
that's food here.
Yeah, that's cool. I like how you delineated according to price point
The
and make
pyramid.
sure that people yeah, and I like how you started with the cheap one. Maybe you start with the most expensive one. People think you fancy. Is there any food you miss in Singapore? I mean,
So I
I guess
actually went
everything.
this topic with my wife recently, and like, if there's one you eat from a hawker center, what would you eat? And she was like, the dry prawn mee. I'm like, okay, not bad.
Wait. Hokkien mee or prawn mee?
Prawn mee, but the dry one, not the hockey, not the
Yeah,
yellow.
that's the one that Ian
Mee.
With
likes.
the
I
soup at
thought
the side, right?
The soup at the side,
Ian,
like the broth at
I
the
thought you
side.
ate the one. Yeah, I thought you like the dry one with the soup.
As in when you order the dry one, they'll give you a soup on the side.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
Yeah.
personally prefer the dry one to the wet one also.
Depends on the place, but generally, if the soup is really good, I will generally take the soup.
Same. If it's no for me, if it's equal, I'll go for the dry one and then have the soup on the side.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because I
What
remember
about
that you like the soup one, right? Well, I guess if
yeah?
with the cabbage, the soup's good. And then
Mm.
for me, it's just char kway teow. It's very simple.
Pork lard. You miss pork lard. That's what you miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they only have bacon generally here. It's kind
Okay,
of
lah. That's not too bad.
yeah. But I will say because of the food we missed, we have amped up our cooking game. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, we started making our own char siu, our own crispy pork belly.
yeah.
I think when we were in California, we made laksa with John as well.
Nice.
With
Oh,
thing. And then when we first moved here, outdoor. We made our own ngoh hiang and fried it outside in a wok.
Wow.
A lot of the
Yeah,
Asians
stuff like that.
who migrate or go overseas, they
Oh,
tend to they do a lot of
right.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you miss it, right? You got no choice, but you
Yeah,
either
you have
make it
no
yourself
choice,
or
correct. Yeah.
yeah, you have no
Or
choice.
suffer. Yeah.
And then also, I think my wife started making hot dog bread. Hot dog. Tiong Bahru Bakery in Singapore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we make like the spicy hot dog bread version, similar to that, and things like
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
Just memories, right?
Yeah.
So these was
Yeah.
miss.
Actually, prawn mee is quite easy to make. Actually, the hardest thing to make about prawn mee is the chili. Everything else is easy. Assuming you can buy prawns, lah, right? Because like the other day I made a prawn stock. It's basically like how they make the prawn mee, the soup, right? It's the same. They just fry the prawn shells and head until it becomes like roasty and crispy. Then they just boil the stock until it's like that dark brown color. That's the soup. Then the dry one, the hard part is actually just there's a there's a particular chili that they use. That's the hard part to find. Yeah,
Yeah,
once you get that.
it's not easy to find here as well. Like we tried to make chicken rice chili, the acidic chili that chicken rice has. And yeah, it's pretty challenging to find like fresh chili around here. It's all like
Chilies.
frozen in Asian mart in the
Yeah.
freezer or something. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. You have like a China. I guess you have like a Chinatown where you live, right?
Yeah, but it's like 40 minutes away. So with a kid,
Damn.
it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we try. Yeah.
Okay. Have you traveled anywhere in the US to eat? Apart from, I mean, I know you visit John, but is there any place you've traveled recently to eat?
Recently, no, but previously
Okay.
in my previous job, I traveled quite a bit, I would say, for
Mm.
business. And tried the different things at different places, like Boston. I think we were talking about it, right? You were
Lobster.
Boston lobster, and then there's all the seafood companies and things like that.
Yeah.
And then in the South, it's all about the fried food and the barbecue,
Yeah.
and things like that, soul food. Yeah, so these are all great experiences, but it can never replace the hawker center in Singapore for me. It's just
Char kway teow,
Yeah, you
Hokkien
can't-
mee, chicken
it's-
rice, and all that,
it's-
right?
It's $4 for like a plate of goodness. How?
even price aside, like
Already?
you would go to a restaurant, you would drive 30 minutes, or you would travel in the US to go to a good restaurant to eat like one thing that's good. And in Singapore, you go to a hawker center and every
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
thing is
correct. You have like so many things to choose from, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's-
true. That's true.
Yeah. The times where you could go with your friends to like Old Airport Road. Like, and then you
Yeah.
just order like 5 different dishes. You go get stingray, you go get char kway teow, you go
Like
get
like
prawn
even
mee,
now
you
for
come back
me,
later.
because my office is in Yishun, right? And it's just like across the road from Chong Pang Hawker Center. And Chong Pang
Ah.
Hawker Center has quite a few famous shops, like famous stores lah. Yeah, so like Jamie said, it's the walk here lah. You can't replicate that in a Western country. I don't know. It's just an Asian thing, right? But
I
yeah,
tried
there's like
the
so.
season my walk.
You tried doing it on your own?
Do you season your wok? Do you do it?
Season my
With the
walk, I tried,
onion.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the fire thing that I have outside
Not
is not
fire.
hot enough.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
But I guess you don't really appreciate it until you are. I'm sure Ian, you appreciate it when you go to Japan, or you would appreciate it even more. Yeah, like for me, because I work opposite Chong Pang Hawker Center, right? So my lunch is like I just walk over and then like there's like so many award-winning stores over there. There's prawn mee, there's chicken rice, there's nasi lemak, there's duck rice. Then every day I'm like, wow, see and eat the same thing again. Yeah.
Yeah, then when you leave, you're like, oh man,
Oh my
I miss
god, I
those
miss.
things.
Yeah. Actually, I would say that when I go overseas, sometimes I do like if you go for like a 2-week holiday, then at the end of like the second week, you're like, wow, I can't wait to go home and have char kway teow or
Yeah.
have Hokkien mee, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was the first thing
I
you're
mean-
gonna eat back, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's undeniable that the hawker center in Singapore is like one of the greatest gourmet experiences you can have. Just in terms of not even talk like Joel said, not even in terms of value proposition, but just in terms of like the variety you can
Yeah.
get, right? That you can
and
choose.
the taste
and if you go
profile
to
lah.
yeah, and there isn't really a bad hawker center. There are not good ones, but in a sense, you can get like there'll be 1 or 2 stores that will save them, right? Then that's the store you go to and eat your bak chor mee or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, sorry. I'll just say even
No,
now I can get excited about Cai Fan. Even here.
Naka.
两个肉一个菜
Have
for
you heard
you,
the
special for
song?
you.
The Cai Fan song?
No,
Sorry?
I have not.
You haven't
The
heard the Cai
Annette
Fan
Lee one,
song?
right? The Benjamin King one, is
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Okay, I'll link it to you guys
Yeah.
later, and okay, actually, I'll just link it in the chat. Then you guys can go listen to it later. It's
Sure.
damn lame, lah.
Yeah. Because like each dish is a project here to learn and research and try to achieve. And
Yeah,
Cai Fan's
yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
throw to me right now. I know it's not the best culinary experience, but hey,
Actually,
it's not like
I'm very impressed by Cai Fan sauce because they cook all of it right beforehand, and then as they're serving through the day, they need to keep refreshing their Cai Fan buffet, right? So as much as like Cai Fan is such a cheap thing to eat in Singapore, and it's very like
But it's impressive, right?
it's like
The way that
it's not the it's very it's not the most it's the place nobody ever goes to the place and go, oh my gosh, I can't wait to eat Cai Fan here, right? There's like not usually like you go to a place, you eat
like
like,
every
oh, this
coffee
place the
shop
bak
normally
chor
has
mee is
one Cai
famous.
Fan store, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's I
And
don't know
usually
if
if a
today I
Cai
eat
Fan
Cai Fan.
and if a Cai Fan is famous, it's usually because it's cheap, not because it's good. Generally,
right.
that's my take on it. Yeah, like nobody has ever said, guys, I'll bring you to a Cai Fan store, damn good. Like best Cai Fan in Singapore. I've never heard that phrase before. If anybody wants to bring me to the best Cai Fan store in Singapore, please let me know.
Yeah, before you leave for Japan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
when people do that for zi char, right? Zi char is like
Yeah, no,
glorified Cai
Zi
Fan.
is understandable. But yeah, Zi is gourmet
Yeah.
Cai Fan, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Tisa has more like places to shine, right?
Mm.
Because the individual dishes, they can like, oh, this place, the Ha Cheong Gai is very
Correct.
good. Oh, Ha
Each
Cheong Gai
each
is prawn
dish
paste
in
chicken.
Zi
Yeah.
can be more complex. Whereas
Yeah.
Cai Fan, it's like it's very simple. Each dish is very simple, but they make up for the variety that you can choose from, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, you're torturing me here.
It's a mouth watering.
Before we end the podcast, we've been doing for quite some time. But before we end the podcast, do you guys have anything else like last thoughts or things to say or things or places to Instagram handles to plug or whatever?
Try Pokemon Unite. If you do, let me know. Add me on friends.
Add you as
Add
friend.
yeah, can play together.
Joel?
No, I'm good. I just really like this. Enjoyed this experience talking to you guys. It's been a
We'll have
while.
you back in the future, lah. It's great.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
great to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think we can when our kids are older, and then we can start sharing. Maybe next episode, right, where we do together, maybe like episode 15 or something. We can just talk about all the times that like our kids have driven us crazy. We just need to start writing a journal of all
Keep
the
a
times
journal.
that are. Or
we
like,
should
yeah.
highlight of the previous podcast, right? Of what
And then we can share our safe word with each other.
This is not very encouraging for people like Jamie, you know,
Ooh,
who are considering
yeah.
having a
Ooh,
kid. They're
yeah.
like,
No, I mean, to be fair, for every one meltdown that you have,
you have
with
like
your kid,
100 great
like
memories. Yeah.
100 great memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean, every day I look at my daughter and just like, how can you be so cute? How can I love you? How can I love a human being
More.
this much?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I look at my wife, I love you. But like there's this it's not even like more, it's just different. Like the love that you have for this like tiny human being
Your
that
progeny.
yeah,
Offspring.
that can make you go crazy, like in a good way, but can also make you go crazy in a utterly like bad way. Yeah. So but yeah. So thank you, Joel, for coming on this podcast. It's been really cool to like have a time where we can just sit down and talk through stuff, and we hope to see you back soon, lah. We
Send
can
our
talk more
regards
when,
to your wife.
Yeah. So that she'll be our next guest. Now I'm just kidding.
there will be a wide sometime, right? Maybe you should do a segment
Yes.
sometime.
Yeah, we are intending to have
Yeah.
episodes with partners on. Yeah. But
That would be cool.
might be a bit dangerous, lah.
all the secrets spill, all the emotions. Like, oh, I didn't realize that you thought I was completely useless in this or something like that. I don't know.
Why you make my husband play game, huh?
Yeah,
So when
I know, right? That you,
wife speak, we should not be on.
Then nobody will know how to turn on OBS. Nobody will turn on Discord. They will just be talking about themselves.
Then get out of the room, right?
Yeah, they set up everything. Then they start. Okay, it's time to train Sherilyn. Sherilyn will take your role, and Marion will take my role.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Or you can be the guest.
We can. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Joel, for coming on the podcast. And we hope to see you again. Bye bye.
Bye.